Good evening. We'd like to call this meeting to order. For our Pledge of Allegiance tonight, we have Joey from Girl Scout Troop 65436. Will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everybody please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Joey. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayala?
Here.
Councilmember Rhodes?
Here.
Councilmember Litzter?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Judge?
Here.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Here. Are there any items for agenda review?
There is one, Madam Mayor, for supplement. There's a supplemental on consent item 2.
Thank you.
I move that all resolutions and ordinances presented tonight be read in title only and all further reading be waived.
Second.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. If any member of the City Council may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration on any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time. Seeing none, we can move forward, Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, the first item on the agenda is item 1D1, presentation of a proclamation declaring September 15th to October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month. And Assistant to the City Manager, Angel Sierra, is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. Tonight, we're proud to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, a time to honor the history, culture, and countless contributions made by Hispanic and Latino Americans to the city of Simi Valley. At this time, I would like to invite Gina Trincali and Ana Rosa Esteves, board members of the Cultural Arts Center Foundation, to come forward to accept this proclamation. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to celebrate the rich cultural heritage and significant contributions of Hispanic and Latino communities throughout the United States and their profound and positive influence on Simi Valley. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month began in 1968 when President Lyndon Johnson proclaimed Hispanic Heritage Week and expanded 20 years later by President Ronald Reagan to encompass a month-long celebration in 1988. And whereas the city of Simi Valley proudly joins in this annual celebration to honor the diverse traditions, history, and achievements of Simi Valley residents from Hispanic and Latino backgrounds who have profoundly shaped our society and contributed to the varied cultural landscape of our community. And whereas this year's theme, Collective Heritage, Honoring the Past and Inspiring the Future, underscores the importance of remembering and preserving the diverse histories, languages, and traditions of Hispanic and Latino communities while highlighting how this collective heritage inspires future generations to build a more inclusive and prosperous community. And whereas we recognize the importance of acknowledging the diversity of Hispanic and Latino community spanning a multitude of countries, languages, and cultures, which have influenced Simi Valley by enhancing and shaping the community with traditions that reflect multi-ethnic and multicultural customs and celebrations that are interwoven into the fabric of our city. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month provides an opportunity to reflect on the struggles and triumphs of Hispanic and Latino peoples, from their fight for civil rights and equal opportunity to their achievements in arts, science, education, public service, and business, reminding us that their stories are integral to the American story and serves as a call to action to reaffirm our commitment to fostering inclusivity, promoting equality, and acknowledging the contributions that have advanced the growth, prosperity, and diversity of our community. Now, therefore, the City of Simi Valley does hereby proclaim September 15 through October 15 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Simi Valley to celebrate the generations of Hispanic and Latino Americans who have enriched our community, recognize their contributions, and reaffirm our commitment to a strong and inclusive community that recognizes and celebrates all cultures and people and the values of dignity and respect, presented this 15th day of September 2025.
I'm very honored to present this to you both. I know you both participate quite a bit in our community, but we have so much to thank our immigrant community and our Hispanic community over all the years in Simi Valley. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So this is a wonderful way to recognize that, and I'm sure you have something to say.
To say, yes, and Ana Rosa as well. So first of all, I want to thank you, Angel Sierra, for that lovely proclamation. Had everything put in there so beautifully, and I appreciate it. Thank you for recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month in such a lovely way. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center Foundation, in association with the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center, will host its second annual Hispanic Heritage Festival on Saturday, September 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I have special thanks for the City of Simi Valley, the Chamber of Commerce Hispanic Business Alliance, and the Simi Valley Historical Society, and all those who have worked together with us to bring this festival to our community. And also thank you to our sponsors whose contributions have allowed us to offer this event free to the public. And Ana Rosa is our Hispanic Heritage Festival chairperson, and she will share with you a little bit about the festival.
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here and very happy to invite you all to our festival on September 27th from 10 to 4 p.m. We have a lot of things lined up for you. We have on our outdoor, we're using every single space of the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center. And we're outdoors, we're going to have food vendors, craft vendors, and on the stage we're going to have artists, dancers, a tango lesson, musicians, just a lot of activities, so please come to that. Also, we're going to be featuring indoors a collaboration with the Simi Valley Historical Society, an exhibit called El Corazón de la Comunidad, and it is Mexican culture and heritage in Simi Valley with attendance from families of legacy families, the Becerra, the Venagas, the Limos, and Rodriguez, and rumor has it that our former council member, Glenn Becerra, will be there to represent his family's legacy. And also, we're going to have an art exhibit throughout our building called Nuestra Casa, our home. And on arts activities by Art Trek, and for the first time, a film showcase. So we're going to have a film showcase in the theater with inspiring stories of resilience, family, and culture. So you all are invited to attend. Last year, we had our council member, Rocky Rhodes, was in attendance, so I hope to see all of you in attendance. We invite you. We invite everybody in the community. Thank you very much.
Also, Dee Dee Kavanaugh, our mayor, now our mayor, and also Elaine Litster was there, and we very much appreciate you all attending.
I took my grandson. He had a wonderful time, and he loves the pretty girls that dance. So he really enjoyed it, but it was very entertaining, very well done, and we are already have it on our calendar to go again this year. So thank you both for doing that. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh. I didn't catch it. Put this behind. Thank you.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 1D2, presentation of a proclamation proclaiming September 17th through September 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week. And Assistant to the City Manager, Angel Sierra, is presenting this item as well.
Good evening once again, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. This evening, we commemorate Constitution Week, observed annually from September 17th through September 23rd as a time to honor the signing of the United States Constitution and to reflect on the enduring framework it provides for our democracy. At this time, I'd like to proceed in reading the proclamation. Whereas in May 1787, the nation's founding father convened a constitutional convention in Philadelphia and began work authoring a national constitution to replace the Articles of Confederation. And whereas the ratification of the United States Constitution was achieved on June 21st, 1788, and whereas Congress, by joint resolution on February 29, 1952, designated September 17 as Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, and the Daughters of the American Revolution petitioned Congress for Constitution Week on August 2nd, 1956, for the President to proclaim annually during the week of September 17th and ending September 23rd of each year as Constitution Week. And whereas the U.S. Constitution is the world's oldest working constitution, laying the foundation for the freedoms Americans enjoy today, now therefore, September 17 through September 23rd, 2025 is hereby proclaimed Constitution Week in the city of Simi Valley to promote the study of the United States Constitution, celebrating the 237th anniversary of the signing, and to commemorate the legacy passed from our nation's founding fathers, presented this 15th day of September 2025.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 1D3, presentation of a proclamation declaring the month of September 2025 as Emergency Preparedness Month. And Emergency Manager Eileen Connors is here to present this item. And accepting the proclamation are disaster service workers volunteers Phil Ankrum, Jesse Ramos, and Nick DeNicholas.
Thank you for declaring September as Emergency Preparedness Month in Simi Valley. This annual proclamation is one of several ways that the city demonstrates its commitment to building a culture of preparedness. In 2022, the city of Simi Valley joined with the cities of Moore Park and Thousand Oaks to create a regional evacuation awareness plan and conduct an emergency preparedness outreach campaign funded by the State Community Development Block Grant. The city's disaster service worker volunteers conduct outreach on this regional evacuation awareness plan and personal preparedness at community events such as the Street Fair and National Night Out. The Office of Emergency Services reinforces these efforts through presentations to neighborhood councils and other organizations. When community members take charge of their personal preparedness, they help build the city's resiliency. Some simple actions that everyone can perform to be better prepared for disasters are signing up for VC Alert emergency notifications, creating a personalized My Emergency Plan, and learning their evacuation routes from their home and business. During a fast-moving wildfire like the Palisades and Eaton fires in 2025, it will be critical for residents to know their evacuation route options. All residents, employees, businesses, and other community organizations that prepare now for disasters will enable the Simi Valley community to recover faster after a disaster.
Thank you. These gentlemen are part of a team that are volunteers that are there to help us in case of emergency, but there aren't enough of them to help all of you, right? So everyone should sign up for our CERT classes. Community Emergency Response Team. I'm a CERT graduate, and somebody else is up here too. I can't remember who. Oh, Joseph, okay. So it's a great program, and if you take the program and really want to even go further, you can join the disaster service workers. They are great, they do a great job, and we are so lucky to have them in our community. So would you like to say a few words, Phil? No? Look at it. Anyone else? All right, they're meant a few words, so thank you very much. A picture. Thank you for your service and your time. We appreciate it.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 2, public statements on appointments, special presentations, and informational reports. We do have one speaker card, Brian Schumacher. Yes.
Oh, there we go. Hi. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Brian Schumacher. I am Advocacy and Community Impact Manager for Autism Society of Ventura County. On behalf of our Advocacy Committee, I want to offer our strong support of your proclamation declaring September to be Emergency Preparedness Month. Thank you for recognizing the importance of readiness and protecting our community. ASVC is proud to emphasize that emergency preparedness is especially vital for individuals with disabilities and their families. Emergencies and disasters often disproportionately affect those with unique needs, leaving them vulnerable without proper planning and resources. As part of our commitment to empowering individuals with autism and other disabilities, we are proud to offer free emergency preparedness workshops, which are tailored to the needs of individuals and their families and caregivers, as well as organizations serving those with disabilities. These workshops will focus on creating personalized emergency plans, assembling go bags, and developing tools for self-advocacy before, during, and after a disaster takes place. Attendees will also receive a free sensory go bag to help them prepare. We invite you and all residents of Simi Valley to attend the following workshops in your area: emergency preparedness for people with disabilities, their families and caregivers, this Wednesday, September 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Conejo Elementary's multipurpose room here over in Thousand Oaks. And next, we'll hold emergency planning for organizations serving individuals with disabilities on October 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Thousand Oaks Library in their community room. We hope you'll join us and help spread the word about these vital resources. Together, we can ensure that all in our community are equipped to handle emergencies with confidence, dignity, and resilience. You can please register on our website at autismventura.org, or if you have other questions, please email me at advocacy@autismventura.org. Thank you for your support to include the disability community and for recognizing the importance of National Emergency Preparedness Month.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3B1. Update from Southern California Edison Government Relations Manager Ian Anderson.
Down is forward. All right. Mayor Kavanaugh, honorable members of the council, thank you very much for having me. I'm here to talk about Southern California's Edison to provide safe, affordable, and reliable power. Those goals are not created equal. It's fitting that I'm here talking in September during Safety Month because we will prioritize safety every time. And so I'm here to talk about public safety power shutoffs. I'm here to distinguish the way we talk and treat public safety power shutoffs between unplanned outages. And then I'm going to show you guys a couple of maps and take you through some thinking as it relates to unplanned outages, how we respond, grid hardening work, and then I'm going to show you an example, which is the TAPO circuit. And I'm going to walk you through that circuit in particular because that circuit is at the urban wildland interface, and that's really where we see the greatest fire risk. So I'll use that circuit as an example. Otherwise, we'd be here all day going through all the circuits. So what is a public safety power shutoff? So I think you all know well by now what a public safety power shutoff is. It's when an electrical utility temporarily shuts off power to reduce the risk of a fire. Now that is quite different than an unplanned outage. Unplanned outages happen when a tree falls on a line. We can't foresee that. We don't know that's going to happen. So of course, no notice is provided to customers when that happens. It's provided as it happens, but not prior, right? PSPS, a little bit different. We certainly aim to provide, we do provide 3 days advance notice, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Public safety power shutoffs continue to be an important tool, particularly because we're facing a new wildfire paradigm. The changing climate certainly extended periods of high winds and the potential for wildfire, these all indicate that public safety power shutoffs should happen more often. That's not to say that they will, but that is to say that we've looked into it. What we've done, we've backcasted data. So what we did was we took a look at the January events that happened, which really represented the most extreme public safety power shutoffs that we've ever seen in the area. We took a look at those against our new thresholds for PSPS decision-making, which are essentially a combination of higher wind speeds plus the information that we gather from localized weather stations. I'm sure you guys have heard about all the weather stations we've been building. There's a reason we're doing that. The more weather stations we have, the more localized those weather stations are, the more accurate our information is as it relates to real-time conditions on the ground. I hear oftentimes from people, CAL FIRE, doesn't show that there's a risk here, right? But CAL FIRE doesn't have 6 weather stations in a highly localized area within 4 miles, right? So we may see more extreme conditions more immediately as things change than even CAL FIRE does. So it's the reason why we invest in our infrastructure, and the reason why we say customers could potentially experience longer and more extensive PSPS events this year is exactly because of that estimate. Taking those new thresholds and then backcasting it against January's events as a benchmark, what we've seen is if we were operating under the conditions that we have today with regard to our thresholds for decision-making, that the events would be even longer and there would be greater in frequency, so more PSPS and longer. Now that's assuming the worst case situation, right? That's if fires like they happened back in the start of the year happened again. But I'm just trying to give a frame of reference for kind of the worst case scenario. So this is partly what I've been talking about with regard to the new thresholds. Updated wind speed criteria. What that basically means is that for bare wire, you're talking anywhere from 30 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour gusts that would necessitate a de-energization event. That's when we will automatically shut off power. If it's covered conductor, you're talking more like 45 to 55 miles an hour. So covered conductor it certainly works. It certainly increases the wind speed thresholds and decreases the likelihood of PSPS. It is not a silver bullet. Really, nothing is. In terms of grid hardening, yes, there are updates that we can make to our infrastructure, and we do, but really you're talking in terms of covered conductor and target undergrounding projects. Covered conductor tend to be far more feasible, and really the impacts of covered conductor are less, and it's less costly to implement. Whereas TUG projects are subject to a risk-based assessment. So we will use targeted undergrounding in the most severe, the most at-risk lines that are overhead, that we see the greatest potential for fire ignition on. So it's really a combination of everything that we're doing. It's veg management, it's covered conductor, it's targeted undergrounding, it's the way that we parse out our segmentation, which is constantly changing. And that's also one of the things that's difficult to understand is our outage maps change based on the amount of load that we're seeing, based on how we're shifting energy around in order to facilitate new growth, based on new circuits coming online, or new infrastructure coming online. So updated wind speed criteria. The new circuits don't impact Simi Valley, so you can kind of ignore that. That's more of a SCE service area stat. And the expanded precautionary boundaries also likewise don't impact Simi Valley. That's because Simi Valley is already in a high fire risk area. So HFRA, that stands for high fire risk area. And we make determinations based on PSPS, based on the extent to which an area is high fire risk. We have 3 tiers of HFRA. So it's circuits like the TAPO that I'm going to talk about that are in that highest tier, where we have the most stringent conditions for making these decisions. So I have this here just as a reference point because the fires that have burned in the last 10 years, they show a pattern. And that pattern is that 15 out of the last 20 most destructive fires in California history have happened since 2015. So we've always had wildfires, but the scale and the frequency and the scale of the destruction has increased significantly. So we as a company are changing. We as a company are responding to those conditions. We're doing that by building on the infrastructure that we already have. We're doing that by continuing to make investments in the grid. Those investments are subject to our general rate case. Our general rate case is the process that we're going through right now at the California Public Utilities Commission. This is where we tell them, this is what we think we need in order to harden our service territory in terms of dollars for covered conductor, dollars for tug, including other investments. And then it's basically a conversation, a regulated conversation. And then the CPUC goes back and says, well, we think that we'll give you this much money or that much money. They're looking out for ratepayers as they're making these decisions. They're also taking into account feasibility. So for example, we had requested, I think we requested 580 targeted undergrounding miles, so money equivalent to 580. And the CPUC said, we'll give you about 212. We'll give you exactly 212. We'll give you 212. Now, what they did was they took the dollars that would have been spent on those 400 miles worth of tug, they took those and they shifted them over to covered conductor. They did that exactly because of what I've been saying, that covered conductor is more feasible, it does make an impact, it's something we can do right now. So that is where we focus our efforts. It's at the direction and it's based on the resources that we have per our general rate case process, which is happening as we speak. Simi Valley grid hardening update. So in Simi, it's all covered conductor. And that's not to say that new developments don't underground wires. They do, they're required to, but that is to say that as we've taken that risk-based assessment and we've looked at where the riskiest wires are, we've looked at where covered conductor makes the most sense versus tug. In Simi, it's all covered conductor. So total hardening, 122 miles. That's the total amount that we, at present, plan to harden. 103 miles of that is already hardened with covered conductor, and 19 miles as we will continue to harden. That is a map of Simi Valley. You guys know it well. That is a circuit map of Simi Valley. I'm showing these map overlays because I think they demonstrate the increasing complexity of our decision-making when it comes to these events. I'll keep going here. That is a circuit overlay with an outage overlay. So all those squiggly lines that look like squiggly lines, those are the outage areas, right? So it can be very difficult to determine, just because your neighbor's lights are on or, and yours are off, that doesn't really necessarily mean anything at all. You could be drawing power from two different circuits. There could be a split duct that necessitates a smaller outage area that you're not included in. So the outage areas, they look like they were drawn by a child, and they're very hard, and they change. So it's very hard to keep track. The TAPO circuit. Now this is one example of why they're hard to keep track. The city manager recently sent me an email that included a complaint from one of your constituents. And this constituent had said that they were living in the Big Sky community. And the Big Sky community back in 2023 had shifted from, half of it shifted from the Burleson to the TAPO. So the highlighted, I don't have a laser. The highlighted area is the TAPO circuit. Just beneath it, over here, is the Burleson. So in 2023, we made a shift. Instead of this whole Big Sky plant community being served by the Burleson, which is less impacted by PSPS, which is less in the urban wildland interface, which is less in an area that would necessitate de-energization, because of a whole bunch of reasons, we shifted half of Big Sky onto the TAPO circuit. Now, the result of which is that people that had really never been within scope for PSPS suddenly became within scope for PSPS, and that's maddening. I understand that that's incredibly frustrating. The reason that we do this is because we are constantly looking for ways to more or less amortize, to spread out the electrical demand in order to meet everybody's needs while at the same time prioritizing safety. So we do that based on what we're seeing as load on different circuits. So this is the TAPO circuit. And as you can see, it goes all the way up into the hills and then it goes all the way down TAPO Canyon into town. Let's keep it going. Okay, so when I was talking about those weather stations earlier, here are 6 weather stations that are just for the TAPO. So those are 6 weather stations that we use, that we pull data from, that we then make decisions based on what those are telling us, times wind speed, times dry vegetation, times a whole bunch of things. Now that purple box down where the Ronald Reagan Freeway runs, that is the substation. That is the one substation that powers that whole circuit. So what that means is that if that substation is impacted, if that substation, due to damaged equipment, due to an animal, due to, all kinds of things. If we need to do a de-energization event somewhere else on the circuit, but it impacts the rest of the circuit, what happens to that substation impacts this whole circuit. So the TAPO is 42.2 miles long. 14 miles of it are overhead, 12.5 miles are covered conductor, and the rest is underground. So what does that look like? Oh, well, this is to show you that it's in a Tier 3 high fire risk area, and there's primary and secondary distribution on the line, and it's really the primary distribution that you want to focus on, because it's the primary distribution line that, if it were to go down, would cause the greatest fire risk. That's why I've got that in there. Okay, this is the more interesting one. So this shows you where we have lines that are covered conductor, where we have lines that are undergrounded, where the sources are mixed, which just basically means that it's a whole bunch, and then where we don't entirely know. That we don't have anywhere that we don't know in Simi Valley. That's because our map abuts other IOU service areas. But what you can see is that the Big Sky community is all undergrounded. So just because a community is undergrounded does not mean that they're going to be exempt from PSPS. It does not mean that they aren't going to feel the impacts of PSPS. If somewhere, even within the covered conductor areas, if the wind speed thresholds exceed what we've determined are safe, then a de-energization event could occur, which could trigger impacts to the Big Sky community. If we see PSPS coming down the pike, that likewise could impact half of Big Sky. So all of this is to say that it's important that we communicate. I'm committed to being a resource to all of you. And if you want a better understanding at the circuit level, I can certainly dive deep into that. I can pull apart any individual circuit. I can talk about the customers that are on that circuit, the resources that we can provide. I can't go into customer details, but of course in aggregate, I certainly can speak to all of that. All right, so improvements to customer care and communications. SCE.com/outage, that's where we want everyone to go. And I understand that calling the call center is incredibly frustrating. We want everyone to go there because it's really going to be the quickest and easiest way to get the most basic information, which basically means estimated restoration times. That's what everyone wants to know, estimated restoration times. Estimated restoration times are incredibly broad all the way up until we know the cause of an event. So let's say a bird flies into a line. If we don't know that a bird has flown into the line, it de-energized, but we don't know that it was a bird that flew into the line. If we don't know the cause, then we can put an estimated restoration time up there of 6 hours to 8 hours, but I'm telling you right now, we have no idea. And we will not know, right? I mean, that is an estimate based on averages that it takes us to re-energize circuits. That is not an estimate based on, we know where we're going to be able to find the impact and what it is. So all this is to say that it really does matter. It matters that we make ourselves available to the community to provide updates in a timely manner. That is more doable in some cases than in others, is I guess what I'm trying to say. The call centers. We do increase staff on call centers for PSPS events because those are anticipated. We know they're coming, so we can increase staff in call centers. But for the unplanned outages, we can't, right? And so our staff is often strapped dealing with multiple outages at the same time, or dealing in rolling outages because some circuits affect other circuits, which happens. In terms of our notification timeline, we've improved our notification timeline. We've improved it because we used to tell people 2 days in advance, and now we're telling people 3 days in advance. I did hear a reference earlier to VC Alert. I would like to second that motion. Don't just rely on SCE. Let's everyone sign up for VC Alert. Let's also everyone look into 211. Ventura County 211 provides a level of service that is quite frankly amazing. And all anyone has to do is call them and work with them to see what services they qualify for. Marketplace.sce.com. So there are a number of services that we have for all kinds of customers, our most at-risk customers in particular. But the services that most people are going to be able to take advantage of are the average rebates that we have on marketplace.com. right? If you go to marketplace.sce.com and you type in generator, you type in energy efficient appliances, it's a one-stop shop. It shows you what rebates we have for those products, and then it shows you, and then it can apply those rebates as you purchase them. So that's what that looks like, right? So it shows you the price of something, it shows you what kind of rebate you could qualify for, and then it lets you go through that process all in one place. The easiest way for a customer to harden themselves is with a transfer switch and a generator. Now, I understand that not everyone likes that. You know, generators are not the cleanest source of power, right? But they are the most immediate stopgap measure. Alternatively, there are battery backups. The self-generation incentive program is one such system. So I do encourage people to look into hardening themselves, because at the end of the day, there is a line. There is a line between which the company will take responsibility for things, and then there's a line on the other side of which customers need to take responsibility for their own personal grid hardening, for their own personal hardening. We all, you know, we live, if you live in a high fire risk area, that's not going away anytime soon. These conditions are going to increase and they're going to continue. And so, quite frankly, I'm here to say that the company is doing everything that we can. We're doing everything that we can to harden the grid, to reduce the likelihood of these events. And it's important that as the company does everything that we can, that we're also advertising and making available all of the opportunities for customers to do so themselves. I've spoken to this before. I want to emphasize Ventura 211. And I also want to say that with regard to our call centers, in addition to broadening the actual staff that we have in call centers for PSPS events, we've also improved the level of data and access that our call center coordinators have access to. So they used to have really kind of broad access to data that anyone could find on sce.outage.com, on outage.sce.com. Now they have circuit level details, notification history of previous events, and tailored internal dashboards and enhanced search functionality, basically in order to look into that granular level detail that will go beyond an estimated restoration time, right? That'll say, okay, this is what it says on the website, but let me check to see what information our guys are actually putting in the system as we speak to see if it's anything more current or different. So we'll be able to do that now in a way that we weren't before. And just spoke to that. Lastly, these highlighted resources are those that, in my opinion, are the ones that are really worth noting, the ones that are worth promoting with your constituents. SCE.com/PSPS. If you have someone who is within a high fire risk area, a loved one, you can sign up for PSPS alerts for their address as well. That's also possible. So it's not just if you're a customer or for yourself. For the outage map, again, the outage map is going to be the quickest and easiest. To report an outage, you can call that number, or you can go on sce.com/outage. And then that customer support line, I highlighted customer programs and rebates because all of that is really important. But really that customer support line, 800-655-4555, I know it's frustrating. But that's going to be the quickest, easiest way for people to get information during an actual event. Otherwise, the Public Safety Partner Portal is a new avenue for city council members like yourselves, for city staff to look into information in real time. If the city is not already signed up for access for our Public Safety Partner Portal, you guys are public safety partners. So we should get you signed up for that because that has a level of information that's quicker and that might be able to lend itself towards your providing more immediate updates to your constituents. Beyond that, I think I'll probably reference the base services charge. This is, I'm moving away now from PSPS. So in response to AB 205, starting in November, all of our customers are going to see shifts to the base services charge. What that essentially means is that most customers are going to be paying $24 a month. And the reason is because What AB 205 basically told us to do is it told us to flatten things out. So it means that the lowest energy using customers are going to start paying more. It means that the highest energy using customers are going to start paying less. And what that's going to do is it's going to flatten out costs for everybody and decrease costs for the most amount of customers. So that's happening as well. I suppose last plug I would make is for the wildfire safety panel discussion that's happening on September 25th at Elks Lodge with Supervisor Parvin. We will be there participating in that panel. And so if anyone would like to show up and heckle me, feel free. And that's what I've got. So at this point, I'll take any questions that you'd like, and we can go from there.
Any questions from council? Councilmember Lister?
Just one quick question. What do we tell our customer who, and I just had a recent conversation, businesses who basically say that it's cheaper for them to go elsewhere than to pay, to lose in terms of to try to generate for industrial customers? What will it take for PSPS to basically to go down to 0, 1 or 2 days? I mean, how do we get back to that? Because PSPS is a newer contrivance. It came about, I don't have to go to the history, but how do we get back to that, or what do we tell them?
Yeah, in a word, we connect them with one of our account managers. So we have account managers and we have a whole business resiliency team. And I've gone through this with a couple major businesses throughout the county that have been impacted by outages. And what we essentially do is we take a look at their system, we take a look at what opportunities we see for additional hardening, whether that's battery storage backups, whether that's new attachments to additional generators, but we have our engineering team look at that. And then we facilitate a meeting with the business, with the account manager, which knows all the programs, services, and offerings in a way that I do not for businesses specifically. And then we connect them with our engineering team, and basically everyone sits down. We just did this with Dignity Health. Typically we prioritize critical infrastructure, but we will do this for really any business if that request is leveled up by one of you. The answer is we'll look into it and we'll take a meeting and we'll look into their system. And if there's opportunities there to harden, whether that means segmentation, splitting a circuit in a way to, kind of harden, or not harden, but and not exempt. Exempt is also the right word, but decrease the likelihood that a smaller percentage of that circuit will be subject to PSPS. Things like that are possible.
Okay.
But we would need to look at, it's a case-by-case basis kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? No? All right,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3B2, update on economic development activities by Assistant City Manager Luis Garibay.
Good? Think so? All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight I'll be providing a brief overview of what's been happening here in Simi Valley in regards to the economic development front. So let's start with the fun stuff. We've been busy. The city and council have been busy over the last few months welcoming new businesses to the community. From Misfits Pilates there in the Wood Ranch Village Center to the most recent business, which was the Hive Bar and Lounge located inside the Tapo Canyon Plaza. Progress also continues on several new exciting commercial establishments that will be opening in the coming weeks and months, including, and forgive me, I'm not Italian, Porcellino's, which is an Italian deli and market, and then the very highly anticipated Simi Valley Brewing Company, which is going to be bringing new life to the corner of Madera and Cochrane, taking over that old Marie Callender's building there. They're currently on progress. Our team has been in constant communication with their team, and I'll give a quick kudos to Ted, our building inspector, and his team, because they've been working with them finding creative solutions to keep that project moving forward so that they can reach their first quarter 2026 opening date. Also, just a quick note, we have a lot of projects that are going forward, and something that's happened recently that is worth mentioning is we've had a number of new businesses that have been going through, trying sign leases, started doing improvements and trying to open here in the city, and they haven't gotten the proper approvals or permits to move forward. So let me be clear, like the last thing that we want to do as a city is to hold up a business from opening, creating jobs, and helping our local economy. But there's some things that are just needed and processes that goes. And what we hate to do is have these conversations with tenants that have already signed leases and find out that there's a long county health approval that's needed, fire, and so on and so forth. So just as a reminder, our planning team, led by Sean, has done a great job to expedite these. But again, please, if you're a business in this situation, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We're happy to answer any questions, walk you through the process. Again, we'd much rather get in front of it and provide kind of the lead time. So the last thing we want is for a business to be paying lease on a building that they can't officially open until they've gotten the proper approvals. On the industrial front, there's been a lot of movement over the last couple of months, and on the jobs front. From an unemployment rate standpoint, Simi Valley continues to be in line with the rest of the greater region and the state. As you can see, it has gone up slightly, but again, still in line with what's happening in the area. On the vacancy rate side, from an industrial standpoint, we kind of had an anomaly. For the most part, as you can see, for the last few quarters, we've been in line with the greater region. The MSA is kind of the broader region. It's not just one city. It's not the entire county. That's why it's grouped that way. But there's two primary factors in this huge jump, and it was kind of like this perfect storm. The first being the Milgard Windows building finally hit the market, as we talked about that the last a few months ago about their closing. So it added about 237,000 square feet to our inventory, which is a big hit. But on the good news side is we just had the last of the Easy Street industrial buildings and the Tapo Canyon Commerce Center buildings completed. But now that they're done and that can be occupied, that also adds to the inventory. So a little bit of an anomaly there in terms of the percentages and why that large increase. The good news is we have had a few success stories to fill some of that empty industrial space. The most recent being Space Vector. This is a cool company out of Chatsworth that designs and manufactures hardware for the aerospace and defense industries, and they're actually a prime contractor for U.S. Space Force, so it's kind of cool. They're bringing about 60 high-wage head of household jobs to the area, which is great for our local community. The second is Western States Packaging. They were based out of Pacoima. They manufacture poly bags, which are used to package and transfer various products like food, electronics, and clothing for businesses community. We had a presentation from SCE, and as we continue to work with the brokers, property owners, and businesses, one of the challenges continues to be access and reliability of power. So one of the things that our team did is we hosted our first meeting, roundtable discussion with SCE's planning and development team. The goal was to get a better understanding of SCE's process and their approval process, and kind of share what our development projects are in the pipeline coming up, so that we can hopefully identify some of those long lead items and identify any challenges ahead of time so we can start working towards addressing them. Our first meeting was successful, and we hope to have this meeting and this ongoing conversation with their development team at least twice a year. One of the other things that we're doing a little bit differently is we're changing our approach, or at least we're trying to change our approach to marketing. We're moving away from doing just static ads that we would run in the business publications, and we're pursuing more partnerships to get kind of better bang and exposure for our buck. The first of those was the partnership and sponsorship of the LA Business Journal's Women in Leadership Symposium and Awards. Now, through this partnership, not only did we get additional exposure and promotion all the way leading up to the event, obviously the day of the event, and even afterwards in their publication and on their email lists and and those things. We also, at the event, had an opportunity to meet with key decision makers, which was valuable. And then our city manager and mayor actually had an opportunity to also participate in the event, again, gaining additional exposure, promoting the city's brand in a positive way, and really helping the city in terms of its business-friendly reputation to the greater region, and again, to an audience that falls in lines with our goals. So we'll be looking at doing more of these types of partnerships in the near future, especially with events that align with our business attraction goals. On the retail front, the vacancy rates have gone down over the past few quarters, but as you can see, they are slightly higher than the rest of the region. Our development team does continue to meet with applicants that have plans to redevelop existing vacant commercial retail space. So that's promising. So we anticipate that the vacancy rates will continue to go down leading into the next year or so. Film continues to be, as you all know, one of the priorities for the city, and we continue to ramp up visibility or ramp up to increase the visibility of the film program. So far this year, we've had 175 production days, which have an estimated $2.6 million impact on the community. We've also had another successful year with the Simi Valley Film Festival, which drew attention at a national and even international level. And the city's commitment or recommitment to film, based on our last conversations, really prompted the revival of the Ventura County Film Roundtable, which I know the mayor and Councilmember Ayala participate in. And the primary goal of that roundtable is to collaborate with various stakeholders throughout the county to attract and retain and expand kind of our film ecosystem, not only here in the city, but all of Eastern Ventura County. Through our partnership with the Film Simi Valley, we also continue to promote our region to location scouts and production companies that make these decisions on where to film, not just regionally, but statewide, and as you can see here, also at an international level. So we continue to value that partnership to get the word out, to do film. Filming is easy in Simi Valley, and we're more than open for business. So last, just a kind of a recap. About a month ago, the council adopted or approved 9 priority focus areas, 3 of which are directly related to economic development. So just as a note, as we move forward, we'll be having a lot of conversations to shift focuses, resources, and reprioritizing other projects to ensure that staff can build the new programs and partnerships that are needed to accomplish the City Council's goals to continue to improve the economic vitality of the community as a whole. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Luis, thank you for that report. Just the fact that we're just seeing activity, seeing retail spaces fill up. I wanted to echo one of the things, having been that new business owner signing a lease and making really horrible mistakes. If you're thinking of opening a small business and you're thinking of getting a retail space to do it in, ask questions first before you start signing the lease. I almost bankrupted myself by thinking I asked all the right questions, and I still didn't. The city is here actually as a service, and often when you're thinking about starting up, you think of the city as the enemy, the thing that you need to get around in order to get your business going. It's exactly the opposite. They can tell you what things need to happen, what needs to be in place, stuff that you might not have thought of. So I want to thank you for bringing that up. That's so important, and we should be, as a city, making that avenue towards opening much, much easier so that our local homegrown businesses that are happening in a garage now that want to move to the retail space, we should be doing that. The city is here to help you do that. So ask lots of questions up front, specifically zoning. That's always a big one. And then there are also permits that you need from outside the city that we don't give you, like if you're going to do a food establishment, having a health permit is not something we do, but it's another organization, but we can get you linked up so you're not making that mistake as well. So that was, I'm just replugging what you already plugged, but thank you for actually putting time and effort into making sure we can get these spaces rented.
We appreciate that, and I don't know why the planners have such a bad reputation, but they're kind of nice. So don't be afraid to give them a call and ask away.
They've improved with time. Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you. We know that there's going to be businesses that, when we do the development of the town center, that are going to be displaced because of the rent increase and so forth. So as we get closer to that transition, knowing that we have empty retail space, I really think that we should work on a transition plan for those existing small businesses to help them relocate into existing empty retail space so that they have a place to go, and we can make it easy for them, knowing, with providing a matrix that has square footage, rent, et cetera, so they can just kind of move and not wait till the 9th hour trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Councilmember Litzter.
So thank you, Luis. You mentioned our emphasis on film, et cetera, and I just noticed that Joseph Metcalf and Katie Garibaldi are sitting on the back row, and they are the brainchild and the instigator of Simi Film Fest, which just completed its 3rd year. And so I just wanted to publicly recognize them and say that we like to talk about you, but we know where the credit is due. So thank you for all of your efforts.
Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you. I did have another idea plug for, if you already have an existing business, especially retail, or you're thinking about one, the Olympics are coming. And one of the things that we as a city can do is become a destination community for a specific event, or just simply put in place a viewing opportunity where the Olympics will license to us their logo so that we can have a gathering spot. One of the things that I think that we should be pushing for as a city, and I think there's already some initial conversations, is we have the Skateboarding Hall of Fame or museum here, and maybe becoming a destination place for the skateboarding venue would be fun. And if you have a business around that type of sporting event, or that would cater to those people that enjoy that sport, start thinking ahead. It seems far away, but it's right around the corner.
Thank you.
Although not a sports, just a quick, and I won't reveal too much, but we have had some conversations through the Supervisor Parvin's office as a region. We're kind of hitching our pony to the Reagan Library. They're committed to, and then plan to invest some significant money to try and create that partnership. So we'll gladly help any way we can and have offered that already as well. So just a heads up.
Yes, on Visit CME, we've been discussing that, and they're looking at doing packages with the library and shuttling and that type of thing. So it's in the works. Great minds think alike. So any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Garibay.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3B3, update from Southern California Association of Governments Executive Director Kome Ajise and Government Affairs Officer Rachel Wagner.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and City Council members. My name again is Kome Ajise. I'm with SCAG, and it is a distinct privilege to be here, quite frankly. I have 3 members of your council that are active on SCAG, and so I don't get to see that too often when I go out to places, so this is a distinct privilege. We were invited to come talk about SCAG 101, and I hesitate to even call it SCAG 101 anymore, given the depth of knowledge about SCAG that's already here, but we'll walk through the slides real quickly. The slides were put together with intent that it creates, it's for the record mostly, it creates information for the record. But given time, I will try and get through them as quickly as possible. There we go. What is SCAG? Well, SCAG is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, for the Southern California region, covers the 6 counties. As a region by itself, we are the largest MPO. MPOs are designated by the federal government. We are the largest MPO in the country. And as a region by itself, it is a very distinct economic region. If we were a country by ourselves, we'll be the 15th largest economic power in the world. That's how rich this region is. 19 million people, 191 cities within SCAG as members, and 6 counties, and 16 tribal governments. We take this numbers very seriously. Almost half the population of the state live in our region, and so our work, we feel like, is very important given the amount of coverage that we have. Now, what we do at SCAG is really to be a catalyst. The heavy lifting is done by cities and counties. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the services are meted to people. Our role is really to be a force multiplier for the most part and help be the ones that are looking ahead, because you're all busy doing the day-to-day things. But we don't do it just in isolation. We do it with local officials, local electeds, mayors and city council members and supervisors around the table. And our leadership is made up of elected officials from the council member from Long Beach, council member from Chino Hills, council member from Santa Paula, supervisor from San Bernardino, and the mayor of Riverside. These are members of the elected class that are at the table at SCAG, including Councilmember Judge, Rhodes, and Lista. We really appreciate their services. Now, how we are organized to make decisions, the regional council is the body that actually governs our work at SCAG. We meet every month, once every month, the first Thursday of the month. Decisions are made by the regional council, supported by various committees that, again, are populated by members of the various city councils that are part of SCAG. I'm not going to get into the detail of what each committee does, but hopefully by the titling, you get a sense of what the policy committees do and what the ad hoc committees also do. Now, once a year, I should mention this, once a year, so the regional council is made up of 86 members that come from 86 SCAG districts across the region. Each SCAG district approximately represents about 250 people. And so elections are had where you have multiple cities, but there are some single city districts. And so that's who the regional council is. But once a year, we are required by our bylaws to hold a general assembly for the general assembly to vote on the general fund budget, which is mostly made up of dues from members. And that general assembly then has every single city and county represented at that general assembly once a year. We typically have held it in the city of Palm Desert every first week in May is when we do that. The key assignments that we have at SCAG is really listed here. One of the primary assignments from both the federal and state government is the development of a regional transportation plan. The reason for that is the federal and state governments would prefer that things are coordinated when they invest in any city or county. And so they want to make sure that those investments are part of a coordinated plan. So every 4 years, we do develop a regional transportation plan. Under state law, we're required to also have a sustainable community strategy as a part of the RTP. And then that RTP tails down into a program, a funding program. So the plan is a 20-year plan. It looks out, it's more of a vision. It looks out to see what needs to be done, where we want to be, and plan towards being there. And then with the F-tip, with the programming, we're now talking about real dollars being spent over a 6-year period. So projects in the F-tip are programmed for 6 years, and that's real money being spent. And again, SCAG is responsible for that. Many of you are familiar with RENA. It's the one thing I hate to talk about because everybody gets upset when RENA time comes around. But it's a requirement of state law that we have to do RENA, and SCAG is assigned with that role every 8 years, and it's creeping up on us, and we're kind of looking forward to it, actually. But the other things that we do at SCAG is we are the regional data, basically the regional data platform for the entire region. We sit on a lot of data that's used for analysis. It's actually used for university research. And so it allows for folks to be able to see the region in its wholesome form and be able to do analysis using the data that we have. And we also are sort of a forum for regional conversations and things that affect the region. We've always felt like being at SCAG is really a privilege for us because this is where high-minded folks across the region come together to think about things that are bigger than any one city, including the largest city in the region, Los Angeles. There are a lot of things that we see that you have to solve for in each city, but then there are some things that just transcend the capacity of any one city. Things like housing, air quality, transportation, those things are things that we deal with at SCAG. The Regional Transportation Plan, we call it Connect SoCal. It was just so boring to be calling it an RTP every cycle. So we call it Connect SoCal because that's what it really does. It connects all of our region together. It's a 20-year plan that looks to invest about $750 million, the one that was just approved in 2024, and then does all these things that we're hoping that that gets done. If it's done, we think there will be some improvements to the region, and there's a slide that shows some of that in a minute. I know I'm going through this real fast. The 4 pillars of our plan is really mobility, communities, environment, and the economy. And it's gratifying to listen to the Assistant City Manager talk about the economic activities of a city. Our region is the most economically vibrant region in the country, and so the economy is a big deal. And the things that we do, we want to make sure are consistently tied to positives in the economy. So the vision that we have looking at the region over a 20-year period is really tied to these 4 pillars of mobility, communities, economy, and the environment. I will get into each one of those in a minute. The plan, like I said, is an investment of $750 million. The source of the funding, most of the funding actually comes locally, comes from monies that are generated locally by cities and counties and by sales tax measures in our region. The core state funding comes in to us at about 6%. It used to be when I first started in this business many decades ago, I'm not going to tell you how many, it used to be that the higher proportion was federal government. The federal government was anywhere from 60 to 70% of the investments we had in transportation. You could see it's down to 6% of where we spend, and it's not one that we count on as much. We also have in our plan, because it's a vision, we have a projection of what potential new revenues we might also be looking at over time to fund the infrastructure that we need for the future. Where we spend our money is also interesting. Most people would expect that, we're spending a lot of money building new stuff. In fact, most of the funds that we have are spent on maintaining what we already have, and you'll see that in a minute. So what does the plan do? We spend, if you look in the left corner here, we spend 61% of the resources, we plan to spend 61% of the resources to fix first what we already have. When we talk about innovation in transportation and we talk about technology, people tend to think about things that might be esoterical, like flying cars and all of that. The reality is the infrastructure of the future is already here. It's our roads. People still have to get to the doorway of their houses and to the doors of retail. and those things are by road. Now, we're spending more money on new alternatives to driving where possible. We expect to see about 4,000 new miles of bike lanes over time, and a little over 800 miles of express lane network across the region. With that intent, we also expect that there will be some gains in congestion reduction as well as air quality improvements. That is if the plan is executed as proposed. Now, going back to those 4 pillars I talked about, mobility is the first one. That's the primary work that we do at SCAG. We work on integrating transportation planning and programming to make sure that we're coordinated. We're not building roads that are not connecting. And we're also investing in more than just roads, but also alternatives and choices for people to be able to not have to drive if, in fact, there are alternatives to not driving. So there's investments in active transportation. There's also investment in preparation for the Olympics that was mentioned earlier on. We're actively working with our colleagues across the region on the Olympics. In terms of funding in the mobility area, our board is going to be making decisions on a big slug of federal funds that we have coming through, about $1.2 billion of STBG and CMAQ funds are being processed through from each of the 6 counties, and the decision will be made shortly in December by the regional council on what projects get funded. From what we've seen, there are about 256 projects that have come in already looking for funding to the tune of about $4 billion, where we don't have $4 billion, we have $1.2 billion. So there are some decisions to be made. On the active transportation side, I mentioned that there is potential that we will grow to we'll add additional 4,000 miles of bike lanes in our region. That's going to be funded by programs like the Active Transportation Program. And there is about $260 million in the current cycle that's coming through. There's a program that we've run that we've been really proud of, the Go Human program, that allows us to be in communities, and hopefully we will be in Simi Valley sharing the tactical urbanism program that Go Human allows you to be able to test out opportunities where you might have a bike lane or a parklet or sidewalk, a crosswalk that's safe for folks to use. Talking about the Olympics, we have what we call the Games Mobility Executives. SCAG is one of the logos on here, and these are folks that are on the GME. And GME is responsible, working with LA28, to plan for how people move around. And the assignment we have at SCAG is really to make sure that travel demand is managed. We're going to have about 15 million people join us. We already have 19 million people here. Moving around is going to be very interesting. And so we need to come up with strategies of how we manage the demand for mobility. And that's the work that we're doing at SCAG. But beyond just human mobility, we also have to manage mobility for freight. And so talking about delivery times and delivery schedules, all of those things will be part of the consideration. The other members are working on different things as well, but we'll hopefully have a chance to come talk to you more about the Olympics. But I don't want you to, I think Councilmember Rhodes talked about it. We had a session at our meeting last week, 2 weeks ago now, where we had 2 cities come talk about what they've been doing with regards to the Olympics. We expect the Olympics to hopefully have a positive effect across the entire region, even non-venue cities. When you take 191 cities, the venue cities are very small compared. But we expect that there's a potential for the Olympics to affect positively our region and mostly leave a legacy that we can count on. I'm going to go through this real quickly. This is about the Olympics. On the community side, this is really talking about housing for the most part. And we just concluded 2 cycles of funding on housing from the state. The first being the REAP 2 program, and it allowed us to do some really interesting things and help cities with getting ready for getting their housing elements ready, such that they were now ready for funding to expand on programs that allow them to have housing production in place. So we had $231 million in REAP money. 80% of those funds were pushed out to all of our qualifying communities, and that helped us to create programs. There's 3 buckets of programs that actually are in place right now, and folks are delivering projects. Projects like building new sewer line that actually was the critical path to getting housing development done. People were trying to build, it was a tribe, a Native American tribe, they were trying to build 600 units of housing. They really needed to resize their sewer line, and that was the main block. They had resources to do everything else. Having that kind of stimulus in the process was what this program did, as an example. The last 2 programs deal with the environment and the economy. We just experienced horrific fires in the last few months. These have been with us. This area has been devastated by fires in the past. So we've been working on resiliency. We have a resilience toolkit resource that we've created that's on our website, and it's available for cities to take and use. Like I said, we don't want people to reinvent the wheel, so we basically brought together all of the intellect and science around resiliency and created toolkits that most cities can take and use. But you're welcome to create yours, but hopefully you get a chance to look at what we've done at SCAG. And then lastly, one of the things that we do well at SCAG is collaborate and advocate on behalf of the region. Again, like I said, you all are always busy doing things that are emergent and necessary and day-to-day. Opportunities at SCAG allow us to take a step back and look to see what else might be needed tomorrow and into the future. And having that collaboration to talk about policy is kind of a place where SCAG is. We have these 3 signature events that we do every year. October 1st is the demographic workshop. This is the 36th year of our demographic workshop, where we take a look at the demography of the region and where it's going. It's often said that demography is destiny, and understanding where the population is going is a very interesting dynamic to play in. On advocacy, we do both state and federal advocacy, and we've been pretty successful in being able to get members of our board to offices in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. To hopefully convince and bring some more resources home to the region and talk about our priorities. And then, of course, we have tools that also are available to all of our communities on a regular basis. On a regular basis, we hold Toolbox Tuesdays, where we do training for planning staff across the region on very specific topics. And we also have what we call Money Mondays, which is a tool that sends out resources on available funding across the country, not just in the SCAG region, but across the country that cities and counties might want to apply for. And so that's my quick presentation. I know I kind of breezed through that, but I'm also mindful of time and know that a lot of people have been sitting here patiently to be heard or to say something. That's my presentation, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Comey, thank you for coming out and giving us that presentation. I had asked for this presentation mostly because I spent a lot of time telling people, yes, I'm on SCAG, and they go,
what is SCAG?
What is that? And so the presentation was extremely helpful. Just to bring it home, for our area is Simi Moore Park and Thousand Oaks. And I got elected by those city councils to be the representative for this area. So I'm on the regional council for that. Mayor Pro Tem Judge is on the regional council through VCTC. And Councilwoman Litster is participating on the
EEC.
Energy Committee. And so what's great about having a highly functional city like Simi Valley is that it is already running well, and we, as this council, work on it at the edges, the things that come up that we need to deal with. But on the whole, it's a highly functioning city. That allows us to take time to reach outside of the city boundaries to things that are influencing us, that we want to participate in that influence. And the SCAG region, if you need a freeway to go from here to Riverside, you need all of those participants in the room talking about how does that happen. And SCAG is the organization that looks beyond the boundaries and allows us to think about and collaborate and do those things together. Specifically for CEME, I asked to be on the Community Economic and Human Development Committee, which is a mouthful, but there is one specific thing that they do that impacts our city, and that is the RENA allocations that we've talked about. And it was my intent to get on that thing so that Simi Valley had a loud and effective voice. And so I'm cramming with staff on the past RENA allocation so that we're fully ready to participate in the one coming up. That's where we can actually make a really significant difference from those outside influences that affect Simi Valley. So thank you for running the organization so well. It's nice to have the team that we have represented on there so that we actually can make a difference. And hopefully we're making a difference for the other communities as well. But
Absolutely. I appreciate your contribution on the SCAG committees and board. I think Glenn Becerra was the president of SCAG, and I think one thing to note is to have Simi Valley be the one that has a person that becomes the president of SCAG says a lot about Simi Valley being part of the regional decision-making over time. So I appreciate all of your participation at SCAG.
Thank you. Councilmember Litster.
Actually, I just want to say thank you, Comey. If you realize there's 191 cities and we have him here in person, the odds of getting him here are pretty slim. It's like the head of the United Nations is here with us. So, Comey, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to give us this presentation.
My privilege.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 4, public statements. During this agenda item 4, the City Council will hear public statements from the first 10 persons who have submitted speaker cards. After the first 10 persons have spoken, subsequent persons who submitted speaker cards will be called on during agenda item 6, which is a continuation of agenda item 4. Agenda items 4 and 6 are the times allotted for public statements on all items other than public hearings, appointments, and information reports. Speaker will be called on in the order their card was submitted to speak for this public statements item 4 for a period of no more than 3 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Madam Mayor, unless you have any comments, we can begin public statements.
Please proceed.
Mayor, can I just say something real fast? Our first group has been as this young group. Can we comment after they speak? That's what I was hoping. Okay, thank you.
I will call on 3 speakers at a time so you'll know who you follow. The first speakers are Girl Scouts Troop number 65436.
You want to come up forward, ladies? And I believe Councilmember Ayala. Councilmember Ayala is going to do introductions for us tonight.
Thank you. So the speakers today are Aria and Clara and Ellie and Reagan. And then joining them are Isabella, Emily, Joey, Izzy, Cammie, Victoria, and Lily.
Very good. Thank you. Welcome, ladies. We appreciate you being here tonight and for sitting through all that time very respectfully. So thank you. It's your turn to speak now.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. On behalf of Girl Scout Troop 65436, we are proud to be here tonight to share how we have been serving the community of Simi Valley. As Scouts, we believe in living out our promise to make the world a better place, and that begins right here at home. Over the past year, we worked on service activities to earn the Bronze Award, the highest honor a Girl Scout junior can achieve. These projects focus on supporting health, compassion, and community care. For our Bronze Award project, we partnered with Adventist Health Simi Valley, where we made the donated handmade blankets for the patients at the hospital. Our goal was to bring warmth and comfort and encouragement to the people during their hospital stay. Making the blankets taught us teamwork, creativity, and the most important of supporting those who may be going through a difficult time. It reminded us that even small gestures can mean a lot to someone in need. We also partnered with Samaritan Center, which provides vital support to individuals experiencing homelessness in Simi Valley. Our troop assembled and donated hygiene kits filled with essential items such as soap, toothpaste, and shampoo. These simple items can often be overlooked, but they make a big difference in daily life for those without constant housing. Through this project, we learned about compassion, dignity, and how important it is to respond to the needs of our own community.
On behalf of our troop, we want to thank you, Mayor and Council members, for giving us the opportunity to share our Bronze Award journey. We are proud to be part of a city that values service, generosity, and community spirit. Our projects with environment and the Samaritan Center taught us that even small groups of young people can make a meaningful impact. We look forward to continuing to find new ways to contribute to Simi Valley's future. Thank you for your leadership and for supporting organizations like Girl Scouts that help make this city a wonderful place to live.
Normally, we would wait till the end of speaking, to the end of all the speakers to make some little comments, but since they all have to go home, go to bed because they have school tomorrow, I think we'll give it a little bit of a time right about now. So Councilmember Lister.
Thank you for being here. And actually, what's lovely is right now, you know you're on camera. If you will turn around, then the people can see your beautiful posters that you've made. I want everyone to see those gorgeous posters, and then the camera can show, don't have to show me right now speaking. Go ahead and show everyone else. And they're wonderful. I just want to make sure everyone saw that. And congratulations. Isn't that beautiful, those posters? Thank you. Okay, you can turn back around if you want, so then I'll talk to you for 1 second. You guys are awesome. I just want to say thank you for being Girl Scouts. There's a lot of things you could be doing, but Girl Scouts is such a wonderful program. I know that I did it for 5 years, and it just was a great thing. And the fact that you are all working on your Bronze Award, congratulations. That is awesome. So I just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you to the wonderful parents who sat here and throughout the whole presentation, all of you, and I know some of you are hungry and tired, but you're the best. So thank you for being here, guys.
Councilmember Ayala.
And I just want to acknowledge the partnership with the hospital and the Samaritan Center. The hospital, for example, when we took the blankets, it wasn't just a drop-off. They actually were able to, the girls were able to partner up with nurses and deliver the blankets to the rooms of the patients and hand deliver them to the patients in the beds. And for the Samaritan Center, they delivered the hygiene kits during dinner, where they were able to physically hand the hygiene kits to the clients that were there. And so we all know that it makes a much bigger impact when they actually get to see who they're helping with their projects. And both the Samaritan Center and the hospital were great partners in that. So I just wanted to acknowledge them as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to tell you, Girl Scouts and parents, you're exactly what's right about Simi Valley. Well done. The simplest things like blankets and hygiene products make all the difference in the world, and you absolutely deserve the Bronze Award, so well done.
Mayor Pro Tem Judge.
I just wanted to say thank you all for coming out, and thank you for the great work you guys are doing in our community. Keep it up. Thank you very much. And thank you to the parents for bringing them out so they could share this.
I just want to say congratulations. Do you still do this? Okay, I was a Girl Scout too. Troop 388. I was trying to remember my troop number up here the whole time. So it shows you how old I am when we only had 3 digits. But congratulations, you ladies did a wonderful job. I love the pictures and the vision board so you can show us what you did. Congratulations on working towards your bronze award. And anytime you do something special, feel free to come back and share with us, all right? So thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we can now move on with the next speakers.
Okay, I will call 3 speakers at a time so you know who you follow. Joseph Metcalf, Michael Shaw, and Jim McIllis.
The first 2 have left.
The first 2 left. Jim? So these 2.
I'm Jim McGillis. I am a resident of Simi Valley and have been for 18 years. Madam Mayor, council members, members of staff. On August 4th, 2025, the City of Simi Valley staff presented a memorandum regarding short-term rentals, or STRs. The document summarized the pros and cons of allowing STRs within the city. The report requested that the City Council provide direction on short-term rentals regulations. The summary stated the following: due to the limited number of citizen complaints, which can be addressed using traditional neighborhood enforcement, an STR ordinance may not be necessary at this time. The potential benefit of collecting transient occupancy taxes from STRs may be offset by the program establishment and ongoing management and proactive enforcement. Later in the same meeting, the City Council decided to defer any action on STRs, taking a wait-and-see approach. The City of Simi Valley has a history, in my opinion, of lax code enforcement. It took years for the city to create rules regarding RVs, storage, and parking. Since the new rules took effect, there has been little to no enforcement. 2 years ago, the city decided to allow ocean-going shipping containers in the backyards of some residences. I can today show you a 20-foot shipping container permanently installed in the driveway of a home. And now we have a staff recommendation to regulate STRs or not. This is an invitation to chaos in our residential neighborhoods. When the city ignores its own codes, that may lead to deferred parking enforcement. Do you remember when a no stopping sign meant no stopping? Allow me to direct your attention to the Stern Street off-ramp. Despite the no stopping sign clearly posted on northbound Stern Street, it is common to see vehicles stopped in front of In-N-Out Burger all the way to the off-ramp. To get by, motorists traveling north on Stern Street must jog to the left lane or risk collision with illegally parked vehicles. Is this a code enforcement issue, or is this a traffic enforcement issue? In Simi Valley, it is apparently neither. Why isn't the curb leading to the In-N-Out painted red, and why aren't the offending vehicles cleared from the street? I will answer that, because observing local codes and traffic laws in Simi Valley is now optional. Park on the wrong side of the street. Go 50 miles an hour on a city street. Change the engine in your old truck in your front yard. Build rat rods in your driveway. I will direct my next comment to the city manager. Our code enforcement officers do not proactively enforce the codes. Only after a formal citizen complaint is enforcement initiated. Last Friday, I visited City Hall, gave code enforcement the address of an ongoing curb cut in my neighborhood, told the staff member, he looked at me without comment. Had he gotten in his truck and gone to the site, he could have put a stop to it, but he did not. By noon Saturday, the unpermitted driveway was cut. I'm almost out of time, so I will just say the City Council has offered tacit approval to illegal short-term rentals for almost a year. Can we expect any proactive code enforcement? Thank you.
Mr. McGillis? Can you please see Deputy City Manager Heather Sumagaisai, and you can provide her with the address so we can follow up with that?
Provided at code enforcement on Friday.
Can you please provide it to Heather as well so I can follow up on that for you?
Who should I talk to? Okay.
Thank you.
The next 3 speakers, Alyn Eason, Anthony Eason, and Lori Woodley.
Good evening. My name is Alyn Eason, and I have been a resident of Simi Valley for over 41 years. all short-term rentals, STRs, should be banned in SEMI. Many Southern California cities have issued STR bans. In 2016, Ojai banned STRs. Simi Valley did nothing. In 2017, Santa Barbara banned STRs. Simi Valley did nothing. In 2018, Moorpark banned STRs. Simi Valley did nothing. In 2019, both Yorba Linda and Garden Grove banned STRs. Simi Valley did nothing. In 2022, Fountain Valley banned STRs. Simi Valley did nothing. And the list goes on. And Simi Valley is still, to this day, doing nothing and refusing to ban all short-term rentals. On November 18th, 2024, item 9A was put on the City Council agenda, and it stated request for direction on possible amendments to the Simi Valley Municipal Code for regulation of short-term rentals. Well, here we are today, September 15th, 2025, 10 months later, and nothing has been done regarding banning STRs. As you know, I have spoke at numerous of these city council meetings, and none of you ever comment or give any feedback to me or anyone else who speaks regarding the ever-growing short-term rental problem. In conclusion, all I can say is, City Council, you are very consistent and you're continuing to do nothing. Please do the right thing and ban all short-term rentals here in Simi Valley before it's too late. Thank you.
My name is Anthony Eason, and I am a resident of Simi Valley. There are at least 14 cities in the Southern California area representing 1.5 million residents that have banned residential short-term rentals. Since the City Council apparently does not want to do what many other cities in Southern California have found to be the right thing to do, I would like to make the following proposal, which I believe would be a compromise and addresses concerns on both sides. Let me and others who oppose STRs have the same consideration you give the homeowners who wanted preferential parking on their streets. You have set the precedent by creating a municipal code that allows homeowners to petition the city to create residential zones that would affect only their neighborhood streets. I would like that same consideration. If you choose to pass a municipal code which permits and regulates STRs, I believe this could be done in one of two ways. One way, as part of the permitting process, you could require the owner of the STR to petition the homeowners on the street he wants to have his business on. The owner would need to acquire 66% of those residents' signatures on a petition prior to filing for a permit or license. The other option would be for the homeowners to petition their neighborhood, street, and acquire 66% homeowner signatures and create a residential no short-term rental zone. It would be illegal for STR businesses to operate on those streets. This would allow neighborhood homeowners the option to decide if they want a short-term rental in their neighborhood. This would also allow the city to issue and charge for a business license or permit to regulate and to collect tot taxes for STRs located in neighborhoods where there is no objection. I also believe in order for the tot tax to be equitable for fair competition with existing hotels and motels, it would be fair that STRs be required to provide the dates with number of transient guests that stayed in order to calculate a graduated tot tax based on the number of guests. STRs have an unfair advantage in the number of beds they can offer per rental. This would make competition more equitable to businesses that have been operating in our city for years and in some cases decades. Also, the city could recoup some of the lost revenue caused by years of inaction in allowing these STRs to exist and operate in our city illegally. 1 to 4 guests would be the current tax, which I believe is 10%. 5 to 6 guests, 15%. 7 to 8 guests, 20%, and more than 8 guests, 25%. Thank you for your consideration, and if any of you would be willing to discuss further, you have my contact information on the card I submitted. Thank you.
Lori Woodley? She left. Okay, thank you. The next three speakers, Joseph Dobinski, Claudia G., and Jamie Sanchez.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Dobzinski Jr. I'm a resident of Camarillo. Last week, there was a raid attempt in Somis, about 17 vehicles and about 35 agents with no judicial warrant, just an administrative warrant, attempted to enter a residence in Somis. Not only was it a huge waste of resources, but once again, the ICE and HSI agents lacked discipline on the front lines, often joking amongst themselves, using petty intimidation tactics, and then driving off while ignoring all public safety laws to head back to LA and Santa Clarita. ICE bullying and unprofessional behavior leads to a lack of trust in law enforcement, especially when that's attempting to force their way into a residence or force someone to disclose their immigration status or to detain someone without probable cause and placing self-deportation forms in front of them without lawyers present. So does the sons of Simi Valley Police Department officers involved in the hate crime against Michael Robinson. So does real or perceived collaboration between Simi Valley Police Department and ICE, whether through direct actions or inaction when ICE breaks state laws. So does folks like Sheriff Freihoff blaming community activists, which is a dog whistle term if I've ever heard one, for sowing distrust in the police, even while we're being harassed for following, observing, and reporting on ICE and law enforcement activities in accordance with our First Amendment and California state rights. Our community organizations stepping in when law enforcement cannot or will not want you all on the city council to understand the reality of the migrant and immigrant experience, especially in these dark days, and to understand the ways that the community talks to us about law enforcement. We don't tell them to distrust law enforcement. They tell us they no longer trust law enforcement, and if we want to restore broader trust in law enforcement about ICE or concerns about hate crimes or routine police work, you need to hear from us on the ground, not just an echo chamber of police and police supporters and city council proclamations. In closing, I urge this council to do more than honor and recognize Hispanic heritage and the Constitution. We need to protect against racial profiling by ICE or any other branch of law enforcement, especially with the specter of white supremacism lurking in this country right now. Don't just honor the community, listen to them and protect them. Make sure law enforcement isn't collaborating with ICE or bullying the public into not reporting crimes. Don't just honor the Constitution, uphold it, especially when the federal government is overreaching. File amicus briefs for Perdomo versus Nome or Newsom versus Trump or any others that'll be coming up in the next few months, I'm sure, to stop these overreaching actions. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hi, my name is Claudia. I'm a Camarillo resident, but I do work for a nonprofit, so I am in Simi Valley, often serving your constituents. I'm a daughter of immigrants who left everything they knew in search of the American dream. They only made it to the 3rd grade in Mexico and came here so I could get my bachelor's at CSUCI. I'm here tonight just speaking on behalf of myself as an 805 Undocu-Fund and Immigrant Coalition volunteer. And I recently saw the community come together to voice their concerns about the City Council's lack of public empathy in regards to ICE activity. So my question to you is, what are you doing to show the community that you care? A home was hit while agents came for a community member. Please don't wait until they hurt someone physically to do something. Secure your seat on the right side of history and start an immigration committee, host Know Your Rights trainings, and prepare the community. Work with those already on the ground doing the work. This is your chance to change the way the world sees Simi Valley. Stand with the Latino and Hispanic community during Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you.
Before I begin, I want to recognize that we are
gathered on traditional lands of the Chumash people. This is not a formality, it's repeated acknowledgement. Good evening, Mayor, city members, and community. As we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and previously with Suicide Awareness Month, this moment hits home for me personally. As a veteran, I carry the weight of knowing the meaning of 22 and 1. If you know, you know. If you don't, you should. Beyond my own service, my husband has struggled with mental illness and suicidal tendencies. I've seen how deeply families are affected. Awareness, compassion, and access to care are not optional, they are necessary. History teaches us that silence in the face of injustice allows cycles of harm to continue. After years of coping silently, I learned that the only way to move forward is to talk about it and work through it. I live with PTSD. I'm also a survivor of violence from a prior partner. These experiences do not shame me. They remind me why I survived and why it is so important for my children to see the strength we have to overcome challenges. Awareness, prevention, and mental health support matter. If we do not protect our children now, we are teaching them that silence is acceptable and silence is not an option. Violence reaches our homes more than we realize. There are roughly 7,000 alleged cases of domestic violence each year in Ventura County. It affects families, children, and youth, and our city cannot ignore it. Our kids are watching. With social media, words can escalate into physical violence. They see our choices, actions, and values. Making mental health resources accessible, especially in schools, gives them the support they need to process what they see. I respectfully request the City Council officially designate October as Domestic Violence and Intimate Partner Violence Awareness Month. Place this as a discussion item on the next agenda to work with schools, organizations, and families to implement these initiatives. There are many injustices across the nation, but I am here for unity. Coming together is how we make Simi Valley safer, stronger, and more compassionate. History shows that when leaders stay silent, entire generations suffer, and Simi Valley cannot repeat these mistakes. At the end of the day, our kids are watching. It's time we show that fairness, courage, and care are not just words, they are actions. We either lead with justice or we fail our children. Thank you.
The last speaker, Ashley Fox.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Ashley Fox, and I want to first thank you for honoring Hispanic Heritage Month. They made mention that some of you showed up to support it, and I think that's a lovely gesture. I expect the rest of you will join them this year to show the community you truly recognize their presence. I do question, do you really honor these people and the community by enjoying their food and culture without acknowledging that many spend every minute of every day in fear, then taking no action to help them? Secondly, I'd like to read a statement from a friend of mine who can't be here tonight. I'm here asking you to take swift, decisive, and tangible action to support the immigrant community of Simi Valley. The Supreme Court has lifted the temporary restraining order that prevented ICE from using racial profiling as probable cause. They can resume their roving patrols, stopping anyone they want simply because of the color of their skin, their accent, or where they work. On October 1st, they will be receiving additional funding, and their attacks on our families, friends, and neighbors will only increase. Please act now. The Hispanic and Latino community is deeply tied to our cities, neighborhoods, schools, and economy. Immigrant workers, including undocumented residents, are vital to the Simi Valley economy, agriculture, and service industries. You issued a National Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation. It's a beautiful way to recognize the Hispanic community, but how can they celebrate their heritage when they're being targeted for being Hispanic? This brutal immigration enforcement doesn't just harm families, but harms our economy as well. Undocumented immigrants in the county of Ventura contributed $8.2 billion to the local economy. That's 5% of the GDP. They paid $25.7 billion into Social Security, $6.4 billion into Medicare, and $1.8 billion into undocumented unemployment insurance in 2022, programs they are often eligible to participate in. We ask you to take action for the justice, equity, and safety of your constituents. We need to support our vulnerable immigrant communities. The impacts of these policies are felt at every level, especially locally. And please investigate what other cities are doing to stand up for their immigrant communities. Moore Park has hosted an immigration resources workshop. Santa Paula created an immigration committee. Thousand Oaks voted to donate to the VCCF Neighborhood Support Coalition, and Oxnard and several other communities have offered their support to the Vasquez Perdomo v. Noam lawsuit. Please consider signing a common interest agreement with the plaintiffs. There is so much that can be done to support our immigrant community. Investigating these options and finding what works for Simi Valley would be a start. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, that was the last speaker. Madam Mayor, members of City Council, next on the agenda is 4A, City Council comments regarding public statements.
Any comments? Councilmember Ayala?
Yep, just a couple things. I did, while the speaker was talking about October, I did notice that it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month for October, so I don't know if we were already planning on doing something in October in recognition of that, but if not, it's something we might want to consider doing. Also then for the other speakers, we did last week, because we had our meeting last week, say that we were putting on the agenda an item to do that. So just know that that's coming. And I just wanted, in case you weren't here last week, I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
Councilmember Rhodes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In response to the short-term rental, thank you for coming each week, and they're gone. Okay. And speaking to us, what is perceived as inaction is not always inaction, and we had stated that we were going to observe legislation that was going through. It hit the governor's desk on September 9th and is now the 15th. I would hope that he would sign that legislation, and that then gives sort of a clear runway for us to make decisions on ordinances. So it was appropriate to wait until that legislation either gets signed or doesn't, but it should be imminent. And I appreciate them coming and speaking.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for speaking again this evening. And like Councilmember Ayala said, we did discuss it last week. It's only been a week, so we weren't able to get it this quickly onto the agenda, but we are looking into that. We have also contacted the school district because we have no say over what they do, but we try to be a good partner with them. And so we will continue to try and do that because that is also an important part of our community. So, and we do have more than 50% Hispanic students in our school district. So it is something that our school district needs to really work at, and that we will be a good partner for them if they like our assistance. So, City Manager?
I was just going to say that the item that Councilmember Ayala requested will be on the next agenda. Unfortunately, as the mayor mentioned, we were unable to get that processed within really just 2 days after the last council meeting by the time we process agendas. So, but that will be on the next council meeting.
Thank you. We had 2 in a row, so it kind of shortened our workout, but thank you all very much for being here. We appreciate it. Ready for our next item?
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is public hearings. This is the time for testimony on public hearings on the consideration of matters as presented on this agenda. Let the record show that due notice was given as required by law, and an affidavit to this effect is on file in the office of the City Clerk. All comments submitted by email have already been provided to the City Council and will be made part of the record. However, they will not be read by the City Clerk this evening. Speakers will be called on in the order in which their card was submitted to speak for this public testimony item 5 for a period of no more than 5 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community residence for the record. Comments shall be limited to matters relevant to the item on the agenda and may be ruled out of order if comments are unrelated to the item. The reports of city staff relating to these matters shall be made part of the record of this meeting. If you challenge in court any of the City Council decisions made here tonight, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing. The time within which judicial review must be sought is governed by California Code of Civil Procedure, Section 1094.6. Item 5A, a public hearing to consider a substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2025-2029 Regional Consolidated Plan to incorporate the promote economic development goal for Simi Valley to the strategic plan and make a determination that the amendment is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And Administrative Officer Julia Ramirez is here to present this item.
Thank you. Before we begin, are there any ex parte communications to report? Seeing none, staff may begin their oral report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The fiscal year 2025-2029 Regional Consolidated Plan and the fiscal year 2025-26 Action Plan were adopted by the City Council on May 5th, 2025. The Action Plan serves as the official application to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD, for Community Development Block Grant funds for the City of Simi Valley. In accordance with the Citizens Participation Plan and HUD's regulations, a substantial amendment to the Regional Consolidated Plan is required when a major change is proposed. HUD has established that grantees must amend approved consolidated plans to make a change in its allocation priorities, conduct a new activity using funds carried out under the action plan, or change the purpose, scope, location, or beneficiary of the activity. Through the effort of coordinating with other cities in the county, one goal was not included for Simi Valley in the Regional Consolidated Plan. Although a minor omission, the city is required to provide an opportunity for the public to comment and participation. So that is why the City Council is holding this public hearing on the matter. The substantial amendment before you this evening proposes to incorporate the Promote Economic Development goal for Simi Valley in the strategic plan included in the Regional Consolidated Plan. The city has provided notice as required, 30-day public review comment period from August 15th to September 15th, 2025 as part of the city's citizen participation process. It is recommended that the City Council approve the substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2025-29 Regional Consolidated Plan to incorporate the Promote Economic Development goal for Simi Valley. This concludes my presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Thank you, Julia. Are there any questions of staff from City Council? Councilmember Litster.
Thank you, Julia. Appreciate the report. I just wanted to understand, was this a goal previously identified and just omitted, or is this a brand-new goal?
It was always in the consolidated plan.
It was always in and just
Yes.
got in, it was inadvertently. Okay, I just want to be sure I understood that correctly.
Correct.
Got it. And so I guess that follows my second question then. Is there a specific entity that we work with that is also missing out because of this?
So in May, the night that you approved, the City Council approved the Regional Consolidated Plan, the Promote Economic Development goal was there, but it wasn't checked off for Simi Valley. The action plan that was approved that evening for fiscal year 25-26 did fund an organization that is going to carry out this type of activity. This is why we have to correct the big plan in order to proceed with the one-year plan.
Okay, understood. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, at this time, I would like to open the hearing for anyone in the City Council chambers wishing to be heard on this matter.
Madam Mayor, we have no speakers for this item this evening.
Thank you. Does staff desire to respond to any comments or issues? No. All right, thank you. This hearing is now closed. Any further comments or questions from City Council members?
I'd be happy to make a motion.
I'll be happy to take one.
I move to review and approve the substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2025 through 2029 Regional Consolidated Plan to incorporate the Promote Economic Development goal for Simi Valley to the strategic plan included in the Regional Consolidated Plan authorize the submission of a substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2025 through 2029 Regional Consolidated Plan to HUD, and determine that the substantial amendment is exempt from CEQA.
Second.
Thank you. Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We can proceed to the next item.
Item 5B, a public hearing to approve a cross-connection control plan and introduction of an ordinance establishing requirements for the installation, maintenance, and testing of backflow prevention assemblies and to prohibit cross-connections per new cross-connection control policy handbook regulations and repealing ordinance number WWD-18. The reading of the ordinance is as follows. Ordinance number WWD-19, an ordinance of the Board of Directors of Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8, adding Chapter 15 to Title 6, Sanitation and Health of the Municipal Code of the City of Simi Valley, replacing Ordinance WWD-18 and establishing requirements for the installation, maintenance, and testing of backflow prevention assemblies and the prohibition of cross-connections per cross-connection control policy handbook regulation, and Public Works Director Ron Fuchiwaki and Principal Planner Mitchell Kada are here to present this item.
Before we begin, are there any ex parte communications to report? Seeing none, we can proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Kavanaugh and board members of Waterworks District Number 8. We purposely made a long title, so I had time to put up the PowerPoint. Staff is recommending that the Board of Directors approve and authorize the implementation of the cross-connection control plan that establishes standards to protect public health by ensuring our drinking water distribution system will not be subject to backflow contamination. And after the public hearing, introduce ordinance WWD-19 to modify Chapter 15, Title 6, regarding sanitation and health of the Simi Valley Municipal Code and repeal ordinance number WWD-18. In May 2023, the board adopted ordinance number WWD-18 that set requirements for the installation, maintenance, and testing of backflow devices and prohibit cross-connections. A cross-connection is an interconnection between potable water supply and a non-potable water source, either by an actual or potential connection between a public water system and any source containing liquid gas or other substances not from an approved water supply. Backflow is a contaminant or pollutant introduced through a cross-connection that occurs when the non-potable contaminant source is at a greater pressure than the potable water distribution system, which could cause illness and other public health risks. Recently, the State Water Resource Control Board adopted regulations with the primary objective to protect public health through the establishment of standards that ensure a drinking water distribution system for a public water system will not be subject to potential dangerous backflow. The regulations require the Waterworks District to develop a plan, which is presented tonight, and include legal authority, such as tonight's ordinance, to implement the plan. So we have a few slides to show you. As you can see, this is the normal, our water main goes down the middle of the street. We have laterals that go to the homes, et cetera. And what we do not want is for the water to come back into our water system. And this could happen potentially by if there's a fire hydrant that blows off, if there's other leak in the water system, the water in our main water line, the pressure may reduce, and the pressure from the adjacent home or business may be higher, which forces the water into our system, which is what we're trying to prevent. So you may often see these devices adjacent primarily to commercial businesses, but that is a backflow device which prevents water from coming back into our system. So here's some samples, from your own showers, sinks, or laundry. If there's a break in our line, your pressure in your home may be higher than our pressure in the main line at the time, and water may backflow into our system, which obviously is is something that we're trying to prevent. And in terms of our water supply, there could be backflow from sprinklers, lawn irrigation, and even soda fountains. Any place that has our water in the system potentially could backflow into our main water supply. So the difference between Waterworks District Ordinance -18 and our new ordinance presenting tonight, WWD 19, includes conducting hazard assessments, and instead of backflow protection, we're required to have prevention. We're required to have a program coordinator. We need to use as inspectors, certified testers, and specialists. And we need to prepare a report, incident report, anytime we have a backflow incident. Our plan requires us also to do public outreach and education and to coordinate with local entities. So the plan tonight talks about the responsibility for us to implement and maintain a cross-connection control program. We could, if necessary, deny or discontinue water service if the individual does not comply with our regulations. There are a couple of potential fines established there. And we also need to prepare a hazard assessment of all of our backflow devices throughout the city. Again, prepare incident report if something happens, prepare an annual report to the state, and to have a cross-connection certified specialist within the department. Public outreach will include periodic water bill inserts, pamphlet distribution, and other means to get the word out to the public. So that concludes our staff report. We are recommending you approve the cross-connection control plan and introduce ordinance WW19 to modify Chapter 15, Title 6, and repeal WW18. That concludes our report.
Thank you. Questions of staff from city council members? Councilmember Lister.
Thank you for that presentation. Thank you for those great graphics, moving water flow. Well done.
This is the man right here.
Very well done. Actually, my question, as I read the report, it articulated that you could hire a specialist, or you could contract it out for the tune of about $600,000, or we could hire someone in-house to be, I guess, I noticed your 4 Cs, your connection control, your cross-connection control something specialist.
Yes.
For a sixth of the cost, and
that's our current estimate. Yes.
That was your estimate, which I thought. So I just, in the motion, does this report basically would support that methodology of having an in-house specialist? Correct?
You are not. No, you're not. If you're asking,
you'll still get to make that determination, but
yeah, at a later date.
Okay.
We wanted just to highlight the fact that this may enhance or increase our Waterworks staffing.
Got it.
But when we're ready to start implementation of the plan and when a specialist is needed, we will coordinate either through the mid-year budget or next year's budget.
Got it. Thank you. Actually, this is a question for our attorney. This is the first time I've ever, part of the motion is also to waive the first reading, which is fine with me, but I don't think I've ever seen that done before. And what is the criteria that allows us to do that? Is it just anytime we want to do that, or?
I don't think it's any time, but I think that there was
Is it an emergency need? I'm just curious. I'm happy to. It was a
yeah, I mean, we can talk about it offline, but this is not an emergency. If this was an urgency ordinance, we'd be doing something relatively different, but you do have the ability in California now to waive the reading of the ordinance itself.
But maybe I misunderstood. Are we? Does this? Do we have a second reading that comes back, or we would not with the motion as it is stated?
I believe we would still be coming back for this one.
Okay, then maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, I think you're waiving the reading, but it's not waiving this coming before you. This is the first reading of the ordinance.
Okay, then I misunderstood the way it was articulated. I thought it just meant that it wouldn't be coming back, that we were making the final decision tonight.
No, that's not
Okay.
my understanding.
I believe it's a new language we're coordinating with the city attorney's office on, so.
Okay.
It may seem a little odd, but
That's
something new.
That's
You are essentially not required to read. the language.
Read that. Okay, thank you. I interpret that as that it wouldn't come a second back. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Councilmember Ayala?
I was just wondering what the cost is for a business to be compliant with this new regulation.
Yeah.
The cost is to maintain, this is backflow devices, the responsibility of the business owner or resident. So the cost will be maintenance of this backflow devices. And if they submitted an annual test, and if the backflow device failed the test, it's their responsibility to replace or repair.
So do most businesses already have this in place?
Yes.
They already have it in place. So it's now just, the new rule is just to monitor it and make sure it's actually working.
It's more more enforcement it's going to happen. Currently, right now, we're contracted with a company called BSI Online. They're doing all the admin work, so sending in notices to business owner, property owner to do the test. And if non-compliance, they're going to have to send a notification for penalties, and we have the legal authority to basically cancel the water service.
Thank you.
If I remember correctly, when I had my building here up at the mall, I would get a letter from the city saying I needed to do, is it annual or?
It's annual.
Annual. I would have to have an annual certification done by a certified person.
Correct.
So it couldn't just be any plumber or whatever. It had to be somebody on the certification list.
This is part of the new regulation.
Okay.
The certified tester has to be AWWA.
Okay. I
certified.
remember having to do that, so very good. Thank you. Councilmember Rhodes?
I was ready to move the motion.
It's a hearing.
Oh, they haven't closed the hearing.
That's all right. I'll do my next step if you're,
All right.
okay, we're good. So at this time, I would like to open the hearing for anyone in the city council chambers wishing to be heard on this matter.
Madam Mayor, we have no public testimony for this item.
Thank you. So does staff have any desire to respond to any comments by city council?
I think we'll pass.
Okay, thank you. All right. This hearing is now closed. Any further questions or comments from the council?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move the recommendation of staff numbers 1 and 2.
Second.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 7, the consent calendar, and there are 2 resolutions for your consideration this evening. Consent item 7, resolution number 2025-29, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley, California, authorizing submittal of an application to the Department of Housing and Community Development for the Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME, and execution of a standard agreement, any amendments and related documents necessary to participate in the program. And consent item 8, resolution number 2025-30, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley authorizing the execution of the recipient certifications and assurances for the California Department of Transportation State of Good Repair Program funded by Senate Bill 1, SB 1 for fiscal year 2025-26.
Are there any questions or concerns on the consent agenda?
I'd like to move consent.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 9A, approval of city participation in the regional radio system and execution of a use agreement with the County of Ventura. And Deputy Administrative Services Director of Information Services, Gary Boswell, is here to present this item. have a? Oh, sorry. I forgot your presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Pleased to be here tonight.
We need a microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Gary Boswell. I'm pleased to be here tonight to talk about the radio system and where we're at with the process. The city currently has a radio system that's over 2 decades old. It was installed in 2006 at a cost of $6.5 million and has far exceeded its 10-year lifespan. The system supports more than 500 radios, both handheld and installed in vehicles, enabling communications across all departments, including water, police, sanitation, public works, transit, crossing guards, code enforcement, and building and safety. Failures now occur frequently. Manufacturer support has ended, and replacement parts are no longer made and are difficult to source. Recently, multiple components of the system have failed, and during one of the last outages, the system was partially down for over a week while spare parts were sourced from another city's retired equipment. Such outages put public safety, staff, and emergency response at serious risk. The city's been evaluating options for replacement for over 5 years. We've engaged outside consultants for proposal evaluation to ensure thoroughness and fairness in the evaluation process. The city considered 4 different vendors. The criteria that we viewed at and evaluated the systems at were based on coverage, interoperability, support, and costs. Last year, the regional radio system became a much more viable alternative to a standalone system. The regional system, which has been discussed for over 15 years, has recently gained momentum through new funding, new leadership, new regional partnerships, and includes a grant worth almost $1 million that was provided by the federal government. Multiple agencies, including cities of Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Paula, and Port Hueneme, along with agencies such as Gold Coast Transit, the County of Ventura, have all committed to the regional system, making it a strong collaborative regional initiative. Each agency serves on the committee, on the Regional Oversight Committee, and each agency has a vote, which includes representatives from law enforcement, information technology, and other staff. Because the radio system is live, we were able to test the coverage by driving around to various locations, using one of the radios that was on the system to test how well coverage works. We tested over 907 locations. Coverage results were compared against the city's current system with improvements, and we saw improvements in coverage at the shooting range and at the public service center and the water treatment plant. Improvements were also seen in specific neighborhoods, including up in the Bridle Path and in portions of the San Fernando Valley. The coverage that the county system, the regional system provides is equivalent to what we currently see in Ventura County, and we see increased interoperability with Los Angeles and Ventura County. We tested the system because we didn't want to rely just on the maps and the computer generations that the regional system provided to us. We did real-world testing against multiple locations, like I said, over 900 throughout the city. And testing included subject matter experts for the police department, staff, as well as consultants from the outside. Results confirmed that coverage is comparable to the city's existing system. Interoperability is the second portion of it that we looked at as far as criteria for making these recommendations. A regional system provides a structure for cross-jurisdictional use. It has a planned link to make it so that the Ventura regional system can talk to the LA regional system. On day one, it is integrated with the partners that are on the regional system inside of Ventura County, providing mutual aid in a seamless manner, providing service level agreements that are backed with reliability and guaranteed response time, a shared infrastructure for daily use. It's supported by both regional as well as federal funding, and can provide standardized training across agencies. If the city were to have a standalone system, we would rely on patches between the systems, multi-band radios to handle interoperability between agencies. LA Access requires programming and special upgrades. We get partial integration, depends on the coordination. If we were to have a standalone system, we would still be required to join the Ventura County regional system as a guest. Downside of patching is it slows down communications, makes things more complicated. Also, having a standalone system requires extra staff and equipment. More complex having a separate system, and the city must fund our future expansion, and then we have workarounds needed for staff. Support is another pillar that we wanted to look at when making the recommendation. System support offered by the regional system is 24/7 by 365. However, an independent system would still require in-house support, and the city does not currently have staffing to support 7/24 by 365 operations for the radio system. The regional radio system provides support under a service level agreement guaranteeing a 1-hour response time. It's backed by the SLA and has less reliance on staff. Costs is the final consideration. The 5-year cost estimate for the regional radio system is $7.9 million. A standalone replacement would be somewhere in the range of $9 to $13 million. If we go with the regional system, the initial investment would be approximately $5.6 million for new radios, new police dispatch consoles, and infrastructure that's required to keep the existing channels alive and communications with some of the neighboring agencies. And there's additional costs for years 2 through 5 in the neighborhood of $430,000 to $530,000. If the city were to go to stand alone, the first year would be approximately somewhere between $6.5 million and $11 million for the radios, the consoles, and the infrastructure. The main difference is that the city would be on the hook for replacing a lot of infrastructure equipment, i.e. the equipment that is out at the towers out in the field, and those towers are quite expensive. The standalone we would be looking at somewhere between $300,000 to $400,000 per year for maintenance and other items. The recommendation that staff is offering tonight, we're proposing tonight, is that the city participate in representation by approving a use agreement with the regional radio system. It provides the city with reliable coverage, full support, and regional interoperability at a more cost-effective and supportable solution compared to the standalone system. There is no financial obligation to signing the regional use agreement. We are not asking for any money at this time. The plan is to return with finalized budget costs and budget requests and contracts in order to fully implement the system later this year. For the next portion of it, questions that you have, I also brought Mark. He is with Client First Consulting Firm, and he has been helping out as a consultant on this project for the past 7 or 8 months now.
Any questions from council? Councilmember Litzter?
Thank you. I know I've asked a couple of these questions earlier, but I'd like them asked in this setting because I want to be sure I'm understanding the response and that everyone else is on the same page. I know that, I think it was 2 years ago that we purchased two. I would like you to, if you could speak to whether those integrate into the system how, was that a wise purchase? How does that fit into what you're proposing this evening?
The existing radios will work with an upgrade. They need a software upgrade to work on the regional system, but they will work. And the plan is to take those radios and reallocate those to city departments that are going to need portable radios for their operations on the regional system. To purchase new radios for the police department, the reason for that is these new radios offer LTE, which is a cellular connection, so that if an officer finds himself in an area where they do not have radio coverage, they can still rely on that cell coverage to get assistance and talk back to dispatch. It's felt that that's a important officer safety feature. So the investment in those radios for the police department, again, it frees up the existing radios to then be reallocated to other city departments across the organization.
Okay, I appreciate that understanding. Thank you. I noticed that we have Chief Shorts with us this evening, and I know that he in the past has been very concerned that we have the right equipment for his officers, and also at one time he was very concerned that we do so much work with Los Angeles to make sure that the system integrates well there. And so I wondered if I know you've been part of, I'd love to hear your comments, Chief, if you've got a moment about this system.
I assume it's on, okay. So the countywide system that is being proposed, there has been a lot of work done in terms of interoperability with Los Angeles. The people on the tech side and on the operations side are working with other entities in LA County. One's called LA RICS. Obviously, LAPD and LA Sheriff are on their own frequency set to make sure that we're going to be able to maintain communication with them. That process is well in motion at this point, so I don't have any concerns.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Chief, for sharing that. Do you see this, Chief, as a benefit in any way to our connections with the county, or what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. The ability to go from one jurisdiction to another and be able to just change frequencies and speak to our regional partners is absolutely a good thing. Obviously, going into LA County, where a lot of our investigations take us, and being able to talk to our partners in the San Gabriel Valley is one of the areas we're commonly in, or the San Fernando Valley is going to be very good. The best part of it is that we're all in the same system. We all are communicating together, where our policies and procedures are aligned, so it's going to make it more user-friendly for us.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Councilmember Ayala.
You had mentioned in the presentation it's supported today, our system, by a third party. And I wanted to know who's doing that and at what cost today?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, we have a third-party company. The company's name is Comline, who takes care of the existing system. It's on a best effort. They do not make any guarantees as far as response time or actually even being able to bring the system back up and alive. They have done a phenomenal job as far as being very creative bringing the system back to life, but it has really been a difficult thing for them, both finding parts as well as reworking some of the things that they've had to do to keep the system up and live. We currently have a contract with them. This is we extended the contract, so we're in the second year of the contract, and it is $200,000 per year for that contract. We anticipate that we'll be on the new system, or if things go according to plan and council supports it, before we have to renew that contract comes next July.
And then, sticking with the money part, the $20 per month, which equated to, what, $120,000 per year or something? How does that compare to other cities that are part of this?
So the regional system is offering 2 different tiers of users. We are on the lower tier. That does not mean that we are limited in any capacity or any functionality as far as the system goes. It really means that their anticipation is that we will be primarily using the towers that are at the east end of Ventura County. Our tiered rate for it is it's just under $20 per user per month on a subscription basis. The other cities that are on that same tier include Ventura, Oxnard, and Port Hueneme. The higher tier is actually just under $150 a month, and that is the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, because the Ventura County Sheriff's Department is a larger agency that covers one end of the county to the other, so they are taking a higher burden of costs on it at this point.
So would the $20 be equivalent to what Oxnard might be paying?
It is the same as what Oxnard and Port Hueneme and Ventura.
So, okay, so it's a set fee depending on which, okay. And then there was a steering committee. And so who made up the steering committee? Which groups were represented?
So there's actually 2 separate, there's a steering committee and then there's oversight committee. The steering committee is the city of Simi Valley. We created a steering committee about a year ago to help make the final decisions and the large directional decisions that were needed in order to make this recommendation. And that was made up of the chief of police, the 2 assistant chiefs of police, an ex-police officer by the name of Greg Riegert, who put in the first system 20 years ago, who is now retired. Mark, of course, from Client First. Carolyn Johnson, who is Director of Administrative Services, myself, and the Assistant City Manager, Heather.
I also served on the steering committee.
Oh,
I'm sorry. And of course, Sam, yes.
And did
Sorry.
did you have unanimous support by the steering committee that this should be the recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns for the chief or staff? Hearing none.
I'd be happy to make a motion.
Thank you.
You got to do it every time. We're going to have to share this, Rocky, one of these days.
No, I'm
not fast enough to
You
unbutton.
ask the questions, I'll make the motions. Would move to approve the city's participation in the County of Ventura's regional radio system and execute a use agreement with the County of Ventura.
Second.
Thank you. Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Rich, Gary, and Mark. Appreciate it.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 9B. Consideration of proposed congressional redistricting maps and potential impacts to Simi Valley and possible action. Should the City Council choose to adopt the resolution in the staff report, attached to the staff report expressing opposition, the reading of the resolution is as follows. Resolution number 2025-31, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley opposing the proposed congressional redistricting map that places Simi Valley in District 32. Deputy Director Heather Simagaise is here to present this item.
Thank you, Angelica. Sorry, City Council, if you can bear with me for a moment so we can get this pulled up here. I was just looking for in the presentation folders where we have the special presentations. I want to be there. All right, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Heather Sumagaisa. I serve as the Deputy City Manager, and this evening I have a short little presentation for you to provide a report on the proposed congressional redistricting maps for California and the potential impacts to the city of Simi Valley. Just by way of background, every 10 years following the U.S. Census, California is required to redraw district boundaries to ensure equal representation. Since the passage of Proposition 11 and 20, these maps have been drawn by Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. The most recent maps were completed in December 2021 and are currently in use. In August 2025, the legislature approved and Governor Newsom signed Assembly Constitutional Amendment 8, also known as ACA-8, which will appear as Proposition 50 on the November 4th, 2025 ballot. If approved, Prop 50 would suspend the Commission's maps and implement legislature-drawn congressional maps through the 2030 election cycle. Assembly Bill 604 establishes those maps, which were prepared by Redistricting Partners, the same firm that assisted the city when it transitioned to council district elections. Excuse me. Currently, under the current configuration, Simi Valley is in Congressional District 26, along with most of Ventura County cities, which include Oxnard, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, Moore Park, Santa Paula, Ventura, Port Hueneme, Fillmore, Agora Hills, Calabasas, and Westlake Village, as you see on the slide. Under the proposed AB 604, Simi Valley would be cut out of District 26 and separated from the majority of the cities in Ventura County, as you see illustrated on this slide. This signifies a departure from the city's current regional alignment. The proposed redistricting change under AB 604 would place Simi Valley in District 32, combining the city with the Los Angeles County jurisdictions, including Agora, Malibu, and portions of the San Fernando Valley. Again, this change carves Simi Valley out from our Ventura County cities and represents a significant departure from the city's preferred regional alignment. Our work with Ventura County cities in areas such as land use planning, transportation, public safety, environmental policy, and economic development are strongest when we're represented together in the same congressional district. This change also potentially impacts opportunities for regional advocacy and the advancement of shared priorities countywide. Tonight, the council has a few options available. First, you may adopt resolution number 25-31 included in your packet this evening, which expresses opposition to the proposed congressional redistricting map that places Simi Valley in District 32. To be clear, the only action this resolution would take is to state opposition to the map itself. It does not take an overarching position on the upcoming special election or Proposition 50 as a whole. Second, you may choose not to take a position at this time and take no action on the resolution. And third, you may provide staff with alternative direction as you see fit. With that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Councilmember Rhodes, you're number one now.
Oh, thank you for letting me go first on this one. So this whole thing is a cluster. I don't think Texas should have gone through what they're doing. I don't think California should be responding in kind to do what they're doing. If we really wanted to get to the heart of what is the problem as the current administration sees it, we should have done a midterm new census and then had everybody redraw their lines, but that's not where we're at. I can understand our governor's partisan play to gerrymander the districts to offset the representation in Congress that Texas is trying to do, but two wrongs don't make a right. So and now it's up to the people of California to decide if they support this gerrymandering or want to take the moral high ground and stand on principle. And the only, from the moral high ground, can you actually criticize Texas. If you're just going to do the same thing, two wrongs really don't make a right. This thing's going to the ballot, And I'm going to encourage, I myself am going to vote no on the proposition. I would encourage everybody else to do the same. I have looked at the data on the proposed district, and success. They've gerrymandered the district. They've decreased the chances of Julia Brownlee losing her seat, or I don't remember who the congressional representative is from. No, from Santa Clarita, but they've put some there. It's just an interesting, cynical play. My personal opinion is that I would like to not only oppose the map, but I would like to, as a city, oppose the whole ballot proposition. That would be my direction to staff, but I would, of course, need others on the dais to think that that would be a stand to take.
Councilmember Lister.
So politics aside, this is concerning, obviously, because we don't have the joint representation with our Ventura County colleagues. It's ironic that our last item had to do with the regional radio system, and so now we're discussing carving ourselves out of that, basically that system, and saying with this new map. And so there's some irony just in the flow of what we're discussing tonight. Obviously, we have regional needs, water, utilities, education, et cetera, much greater aligned with Ventura County than with the West Valley or Malibu or the coastal area down there, et cetera. And I don't think it necessarily changes our party representation if we did make it political, obviously. It's just what is best for Simi Valley right now. And the other thing that I observed too is with the new map, you can't even get to the rest of the new district via freeway or via somewhere quickly. You have to go into other districts to take a freeway to get to the rest of the southern half of what this new district looks like. Anyway, clearly it is, I don't believe, in the best interest of Simi Valley for us to support the new map. And so I will certainly be one to support the position that we should go against. That's a double negative, isn't it? Anyway, I believe that we should make a statement that we do not support this new redistricting for that purpose, because of what's the best interest of our city. Just simply that simple.
Councilmember Ayala.
I'll take a different perspective. Simply put, regardless of we think what's right or wrong, there are multiple examples of where the city has taken a position and sent letters to our assembly members and state representatives before they vote on a bill. This one is different because the proposal already has been voted on, placed on the ballot, and now all voters, including our community members, have the opportunity to have their voice heard by virtue of their vote in November. Therefore, I think the time to have taken a position would have been before the legislature voted to place this proposal on the ballot. And now we should allow our community members to educate themselves and vote the way they think is best. So while I am all for posting information to help educate our community members, unless the council decides to not take a position, I will probably abstain, as I don't want my vote to be construed as me taking a position, when in reality I simply want to leave it up to the people to decide without any influence from us.
Can I just make a quick statement? What this will do will allow the council and the staff to send a letter of opposition, if that is the direction of the council, to the governor's office and to the legislature. Unfortunately, because this is an item that would be placed on a ballot, we cannot take any action as a city until the council takes a position.
Yep, but by doing that and taking the position, we're telling our city, I think we are influencing people and telling them how we think they should vote. And to me, I don't think that we should be doing that. People should be able to vote the way they want to vote.
Councilmember Rhodes, and then I'll go.
Thank you. respectfully disagree. My rant, my personal rant of thinking this gerrymandering is stupid and we should not be supporting it, put that aside for a moment. If your job is to vote in what's in the best interest of Simi Valley, this map, as drawn, is absolutely not in the best interest of Simi Valley. And to have staff at least write a letter saying, if we're going to do this, please consider redrawing the map. That is a logical and excellent position to take. Yes, the people have to vote on it, and part of that information is to know that it's not in the best interest of Simi Valley that we be put in with the San Fernando Valley. And that's not a overly influential position to take. I think that it would make sense for us to send that letter.
I think you said there's two different things. Because I agree with one of the things you said. You said we could send a letter proposing that they redraw the maps. That I don't think that's what this is saying. I think this is saying we are in opposition of what you guys did. You know, I don't think if we send a letter saying we are asking you to redraw the maps that they have the ability to do so. Am I right or wrong? If we sent a letter saying we are asking you to redraw the maps, can they actually take action to redraw the maps at this point?
At this point, they would not be able
They would
to.
not be able to. So I would
We
be
could
all
express
for
our
you if I
opposition to it.
completely agree with you if the letter were to say, we think it's in the best interest of Simi Valley to redraw the maps. But that's not what's being asked here. What's being asked here is to take a position to say, we disagree with what you are doing, period.
The resolution is to oppose the map as drawn.
Yep. And that's very different, but I would have agreed with you.
Well, then I think you're still not acting in the best interest of the city if you don't take a position on this, because it's not in the best interest of the city.
Okay, thank you. We were taken out of Ventura County once before, and Simi Valley was very upset about that. And it was only with the last redrawing that we were placed back into Ventura County where we had been forever. So I understand both sides. I do agree we should state that we do not want Simi Valley to be removed from the district we're in. As a council, we're representing the best of what's good for Simi Valley as a whole. But I don't want to take a stance on Prop 50. I believe everyone should have the right to make their own votes in that regard. It kind of influences what we want anyway, but I trust Simi Valley to vote the right way for what they feel is right for them. So I would just go with adopting the resolution expressing our opposition to us being taken out of Ventura County.
I'm just going to state, but by that logic, I would never expect you to endorse another candidate or anything, because now you're giving your opinion on how people should vote. So
No, I'm not giving my opinion on how they should vote.
no, if you're endorsing a candidate, you're saying, I think you should vote for that person. If you're
I'm not endorsing a candidate. I'm just stating that Simi Valley does not want to be in a different district, period. That's all there is to it.
Okay.
That's how I'm looking at it. And I don't believe they want to, because we've had that happen before. But that's just my opinion. So, but I don't want to tell them how to vote. I don't feel I'm telling them how to vote. I feel as a city council, we have a right to represent what's best for our community. And I feel what's best for our community is that we stay in our same county, period. Any other comments? Do I have a motion? Or do we not want to take further action? I'm guessing no further action.
Hang on a second. I'll get it.
computer one. Madam Mayor, I would move to adopt the attached resolution number 2025, page 266, expressing opposition to the proposed congressional redistricting map that would place Simi Valley in District 32.
Second.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes with Councilmember Ayala abstaining.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 10A, City Council Member Reports.
Thank you. Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you. Tuesday, September 9th, I attended the Teacher of the Month award ceremony at Apollo High School for Mr. Larry Sunderland. Also on Tuesday, September 9th, attended Neighborhood Council Number 2. On Wednesday, September 10th, we all attended the Waste Management Renewable Natural Gas Facility grand opening. Also on the 10th, the 60th anniversary of Adventist Health, their big celebration. On Thursday, September 11th, I attended the RDP meeting. Also that evening, the 9/11 dedication at the police department. On Friday, September 12th, I attended the chamber breakfast. On Saturday, September 13th, the Filipino Heritage Festival at St. Peter's. And today, on the 15th, I volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club Golf Tournament.
Thank you. Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report's going to sound very similar. On Tuesday, September 9th, I attended a Toastmasters meeting for the Simi Valley at noon. They invited me to speak, which was nice. On Wednesday, September 10th, the Waste Management grand opening. Thank you, WM, for making that investment in our community. It makes us a shining star in California, but also in the country, and it's fun to see what we can do when we put our collective minds towards responsible renewable energy. Also that day, I attended the Adventist Health Simi Valley 60th celebration. On Friday, September 12th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce breakfast. Saturday, the 13th, I attended the Filipino Heritage event at St. Peter Claver. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Litzter.
I suspect we all have some similarities. Tuesday, September 9th, I too attended the Simi Valley Ed Foundation Teacher of the Month Award for Larry Sunderland, who is a teacher at Apollo and he works to help students recover credits and graduate. Thank you to him. Wednesday, September 10th, I too attended the WM's RNG grand opening. Ribbon cutting. It truly is an exciting project. I think I love the statistics that it is, with that power, it's equivalent to removing 2,000 trucks from the road or powering approximately 65,000 homes. And so that should not be overlooked. That new source of energy is great. And then also attended, congratulations to Adventist Simi, Health Simi on 60 years. Thursday, September 11th, I had a variety of activities, met with Stillwave for an update on the mall, Simi Town Center, and there'll be more discussion later. Obviously, they have plans and want to move quickly if they can. Second, I attended VCOG's board meeting, which was held at Moore Park City Hall. The presentations had to deal with the elected's role when in emergency situations, which basically include telling everybody, but stay out of the way of those who are doing all the work. I would say that was kind of my takeaway. They also spoke about the Delta Conveyance Project and just the necessity of that and how we need to, it was a good educational session. Also on that evening, attended the 9/11 dedication, which was done for the Police Citizens Academy, and appreciate being there with my fellow council members. And then attended Neighborhood Council number 3 that evening, where I'm the representative, and had a good conversation with them where they had a presentation about the YMCA. On Saturday, yes, attended Peter Clavier's lovely Filipino Heritage celebration. I will say what I delighted in was dessert being presented through dancing and an ice cream truck coming out in the middle. I just thought that was absolutely delightful. No better way to present dessert. And so basically that it was a week of great things happening in Simi Valley. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Judge.
Madam Mayor, on Tuesday, September 9th, I attended was on a Zoom call for the Mobility 21 Summit, talking about planning for the chair's breakout session. Wednesday, September 10th, I attended the Police Foundation meeting in the morning where we discussed our golf tournament that just happened the week before, and it went off very successful, so we're very happy about that. Glad to give that money to the Police Foundation. Keeps our dogs running. I then attended the RNG grand opening. I had an hour of my life taken from me on a Zoom call with the Signals from DC Freight and Rail discussion. Good news is the federal government is not going to cut any money to California's freight systems in the foreseeable future, which is great news considering that freight is what moves our state, gets the stuff out of the ports into the other parts of the country, and gets stuff into our state. So there's no change in any of that, which was good news. Other than that, there was 45 minutes I didn't need to be there for. On Thursday, September 11th, I had to go out to Anaheim for the Mobility 21 Summit, which took place on Friday, September 12th, where I was a member of a panel because I'm the chair of VCTC, and we did a panel on partnerships. And we just had a presentation from SCAG tonight. One of our greatest partnerships with our city and VCTC is with SCAG, and that's getting a lot of stuff done in our state and our area, I should say our region. On Saturday, September 13th, I was honored to attend the Elks House Committee meeting, where I'm always honored to watch the Elks give money to the nonprofits in our cities from the money they make off of their bingo games and other fundraising activities. Saturday night, I did too attend the St. Peter Claver Pista Se Neon celebration, Filipino heritage. Always a great presentation. I think this is like my 6th year attending, and I always have a great time there, and I want to thank Joe for inviting me. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Mine will sound familiar as everybody else's. On Wednesday, September 10th, I also attended the RNG grand opening up at Waste Management. It was very well done, and they always do a great job. But a couple years ago, I was up there, and there was nothing on the right. And now you go up there, and it's whoosh, big, huge energy serving, turning it into gas. SoCal Gas was there. They were very excited to be up there going, you know how many houses we're going to be able to provide gas for? Like you said, it was like 60,000. So they were very exciting. It's a wonderful event. My dad years ago was a trash man in Glendale, and he said, they need to do something with all that gas. And he wasn't an engineer, so he didn't know what, but somebody finally did something with it, so it's fantastic. I also attended the Adventist Health Simi Valley 60th celebration. A little bit personal there. I was on the board and the foundation for over 6 years, so have a personal investment there, as well as being a patient. So it was great to be able to recognize them. And Saturday, September 13th, I also attended the Pista Se Neon celebration, the Filipino heritage at St. Peter Clavers. Joe Esmeralda told us there were almost 8,000 Filipinos living in Simi Valley. So that was a little bit of an eye-opener to me. I didn't realize we had that many Filipino people living here. And boy, do they know how to have a great time. The food was wonderful and plentiful. The dancing was fun. And yes, I think the highlight was Father Rez being the ice cream man, pushing the little cart out and then being surrounded by everybody for ice cream for the evening. But a wonderful event, a wonderful group at St. Peter Claver, and wonderful constituents here in our community. So that's the end of my report. Next item is 10B. Are there any requests for agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we will now adjourn in memory of Charlie Kirk. So thank you, we're adjourned.